Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch every one and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are checking in on our old friends on Sesame Street as we continue our journey through November of 1986 and into season 18 of Sesame Street. And we watched a whole lot of stuff.
Oh, more than we've watched in a long time, I feel like, huh?
Yeah, I ran us through the gauntlet here this week with Sesame Street, and I'll explain a bit of the reasoning why when we get to that. But Sam will list those things off for you pretty soon. But it was over 3 hours worth of Sesame Street that we watched. But before we get into all that, Sam, we have a small correction to make.
We got something wrong at last.
Well, we always get something wrong, but this was like a bigger
we
something.
We don't always admit it, though.
No. We rarely ever admit it because we're not experts. We're not historians here. But we got something wrong enough that we had several people messaging us being like, hey, you're wrong. And I think it's partially because it was a big part of our discussion. What we're talking about is the Jim Henson Idea Man episode, which, as you're hearing this, was like a few ago. Like the recording got a little out of order. So it might sound weird that we're issuing this correction weeks later. That episode just came out in our world. But in that episode, we talked about how they didn't mention the Great Muppet Caper or Muppets Take Manhattan at all. And we speculated that this might be a Disney move since they don't have the distribution rights to those two Muppet movies. Well, that's only half right because they don't have Muppets Take Manhattan on Disney Plus. They also don't have Muppets from Space, which is maybe the second movie that I was thinking of as far as Muppet movies they don't own.
Oh,
but
they straight up don't own that one. They just weren't like, we don't want to put this on.
Yeah, I don't know the actual contractual dealings of who owns what because obviously they own the characters of the Muppets, so I'm sure they have a stake in it. But as far as distribution rights of the movie, I believe that's with Sony. I could be getting that wrong too.
And then in 4 weeks, we'll have to issue another one of these bad boys.
Yeah, but see, I couched at that time. In the Idea Man episode,
important.
I was very certain.
That's important. You're right.
So yeah, they could have easily used clips from Caper because it is on Disney Plus. They would have probably liked to promote it, which, if anything, this makes it weirder to me that they don't show or mention the Great Muppet Caper at all.
They don't even show one little clip from it ever?
I don't think so. There might be at the very end in the cube room during the postscript section, you see a lot of random clips on the wall. And there might be one in there because I know there's some Muppets Take Manhattan in there. You see them little Muppet Babies puppets. But I don't remember if there's specifically a caper scene in that. But yeah, during the actual bulk of the film, they don't show the Great Muppet Caper. I was also told, based on some of our criticisms or critical reviews of Jim Henson Idea Man, that we should maybe also check out the PBS documentary from I'm going to say 2015. It's called In Their Own Words. It's part of a series, but it's basically a documentary PBS made about Jim Henson, and they got Candice Bergen and a whole bunch of other people in this documentary to tell a very similar story because it's the same man's life.
Sure.
With all the kids are there. And there was one person, I will say, suggested that they liked this one more than the Disney Plus one.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I think it's, worth checking out at some point. Obviously, we'll get there in time, but 2015 is quite a ways away from 1986.
That's really far.
But yeah, it has, I think, all of the same people who were in Jim Henson Idea Man talking about Jim, along with a handful of additional people. But Sam, we have so much to talk about today, so how about we get right into it? What did we watch this week?
First, we watched, of course, a commercial for Big Bird Goes Hollywood, Sesame Street Live, a traveling stage version of Sesame Street. And then we watched the premiere of season 18 of Sesame Street. Gordon and Susan adopted a child named Miles last season and are celebrating his first year on Sesame Street. Gordon shows some of the monsters Miles' baby book, and the whole street puts together a party/talent show for Miles. Snuffy and Big Bird write a play for Miles about his adoption process, but Snuffy gets stage fright right before they go on. Eventually, Big Bird guilts him into performing, and their boring play is a big hit with all the dopes on Sesame Street. Then we watched a couple more street scenes from a different episode where Luis teaches David about computer cursors on his computer, and then they leave, and then the Yip Yip aliens appear, and they mess with the computer, and then one of the aliens maybe falls in love with the computer? Is that what happened?
I think it is what happens.
Okay. He leaves a very odd-looking flower on this computer, and then they vanish. Then we watched Hoots the Owl sing with Joe Williams, and then some pigs sing about crossing the street, and then another set of street scenes where everybody on the street is watching Elmo, Big Bird, and Grungetta on a TV game show called the My Best Friend Game Show, hosted by Sunny Friendly, who is definitely not Guy Smiley. The show kind of seems to be just like people coming on and talking about their best friends, so it's maybe not a game show exactly, but Elmo still basically loses by saying that everyone is his best friend. Big Bird does a really nice, sweet job talking about Snuffy, and Grungetta tries not to sound sweet as she describes how much she loves Oscar's terrible personality. Then another street scene where Snuffy and a whole ass dragon sing a song about being best friends despite their differences. Something that maybe if we had watched the full episode would have been spelled out a little bit more, but from my perspective, they're not really that different at all. They're both big guys who everybody would assume are imaginary. The dragon looks just like Big Bird, so I don't know what their differences could be. Maybe they hated each other at the beginning.
Likes gooey peanut butter, and the other one doesn't like gooey peanut butter, Sam.
Purely speculation because he does say you might not like gooey peanut butter. Just so
he doesn't even bother to ask before they start singing the song.
And who doesn't like gooey peanut butter? Come on, right? Are you a crunchy guy? You're about to say you're a crunchy guy, aren't you?
I am not. I will throw crunchy peanut butter in the trash.
Yeah,
that's where it belongs.
They just did it wrong. That's what crunchy is just not right. They didn't mix it enough. Come on.
The problem is also they're calling it gooey because nobody calls it gooey peanut butter as like a nice thing to say.
The gooey is a negative connotation.
If I asked what kind of peanut butter do you like, crunchy or gooey?
Ugh. I'd say I guess I'll take crunchy. I'm not taking my chances with whatever gooey is.
Yeah,
gooey kind of sounds like the Smucker's stuff with like the jelly like right in there. Remember that stuff?
Yeah, or it reminds me of just like the organic stuff with all the like liquid on top.
Yes,
like that's gooey.
Gooey, that's gooey. I don't like gooey peanut butter. Then another collection of street scenes featuring John Candy as Yash Schminge. Was that his name?
Yash Schmengi, I think.
Yeah, Schmengi.
The fake actual pronunciation.
Who is a polka playing character that he played on SCTV along with Eugene Levy. Yash shows up on the street to present Slimy with a certificate for passing his correspondence clarinet classes and is shocked to discover that Slimy is a worm who has no hands but is still somehow very good at the clarinet. And they and a little worm band play the alphabet polka later. Then we meet Professor Rabbit and Garbo, an elderly rabbit and gorilla who are friends with Uncle Wally. Garbo is a great juggler who communicates via sign language like Coco the gorilla, and Professor Rabbit is a kooky old man rabbit who turns out knows actual magic. So then they just kind of do their little routine, and then they go to the library to help out for a little while. I didn't think these guys were that scary, like maybe you implied I would think that they were.
I think they just raise a lot of questions that they don't answer. Specifically about Uncle Wally's life.
It really paints a picture about Uncle Wally. Then we get a couple of Ernie songs, Do the Rubber Ducky and Put Down the Ducky, that remind me of when the Monster Mash hit it really big and Bobby Pickett got trapped writing more monster music, trying to find the next Monster Mash, which led to gems like the Transylvania Twist, the Monster Swim, and the Monster Holiday. And much like those songs, I love both of these songs too. Though Do the Rubber Ducky features a lot of shirtless Muppets sharing one big bath, which I found a bit strange. When the construction workers got in the bathtub, then I was like, all right, this is getting out of hand.
Yeah, there's a lot of strong choices made in that one.
Then we watched a classic Frank and Jim sketch wherein Kermit has a mystery box and some very easy clues about what's in the mystery box, and all Cookie can guess is that it must be a cookie until Kermit just starts screaming his head off. Then we watched Numberella, a boring story that Gordon reads to some bored kids about Cinderella, but with numbers, so it's even more boring than usual. Then Kermit sang On My Pond about his beautiful pond and how it must be protected from pollution. Then we watched a Monster Piece Theater, The 39 Stairs, which is a takeoff of Hitchcock's The 39 Steps, in which Grover climbs 39 stairs, expecting to find a surprise at the top, but finding only a brick wall for his trouble. Then throughout this season, there must have been like a U.S. history running theme or something like that, because we also watched 4 skits about U.S. history, including naming the national bird, writing the Declaration of Independence, Washington crossing the Delaware, and the Boston Tea Party. Finally, we brought it full circle with the season 18 production wrap party, a celebration of the cast and crew that included a dirty version of People in Your Neighborhood, some songs by Ellen Greene, who played Audrey on the stage version, and the 80s movie version of Little Shop of Horrors, a Put Down the Ducky sing-along video, and a bunch of other little skits and jokes and just like showings of appreciation for the crew.
So the reason we watched so many random things in so many different places is because I think I've mentioned in the past I have fallen out of love with the YouTube account that makes the best of season playlists.
That's sad to hear. I hate it when you fight.
It was so helpful to us for so long. They made great, I thought, maybe who knows what we were missing out on, but they made great best of playlists from all the seasons of Sesame Street that we would use as just sort of our catching up. And I noticed a season or two ago that they were completely leaving out Elmo, who at this point in Sesame Street history has become quite a big part of Sesame Street.
Yeah, we see Elmo
And
pop up in like every street scene we watch pretty much.
yeah, and there's a lot more with Elmo that happens that we didn't even watch. So I know a lot of people have negative feelings towards Elmo, and I think whoever is making those best of playlists is one of those people because there's not a shred of Elmo footage in their best of clips from the last couple seasons. And so I took it upon myself to go through Muppet Wiki and sort of follow their lead as far as the highlights of the season and find as
Wow.
many of those clips as I could. And also just sort of the things that looked interesting to me that I thought Sam and I would enjoy watching.
You put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, and what it does mean is it means we watched a lot less of the films and cartoons than we normally would,
Yeah.
and we watched mostly Muppet things.
And I think that's just fine. I love the films and the cartoons, but
usually we have very little to say about them,
totally.
and sometimes you even just cut out what we say about them because we said nothing interesting.
And yeah, all of them are from like 15 years ago at this point, too.
But a quick little overview of season 18, including some things that happened this season that we didn't watch. Sesame Street season 18 aired from November 17th, 1986 to May 15th, 1987. This year's curriculum was focused mostly on math. It seemed like trying to count beyond 20, but also teaching kids about 0, and also being able to count things that aren't right there in front of you, like in your head. So just expanding kids' math skills a little bit, it seems.
Counting to 20, that's a big ask for a kid, and they do it a bunch of times in this.
Apparently this season, there was a conscious effort to make Big Bird less naive than originally written and turn Elmo into the role of the precocious child who's always asking questions.
So Big Bird is less naive now. Is that what you said?
Yeah. The goal is to make him seem a little bit more mature so that way Elmo's immaturity, I guess, can balance him out, which I do think we see.
Yeah. In the Miles episode, he is the voice of reason to Snuffy, who Snuffy now suddenly seems a little bit more like young and nervous, which I think does carry through to the future of Snuffy. But I feel like previously he was the more mature one in the relationship.
I feel like it's interesting. I think they give a lot of Muppets on Sesame Street the Telly personality of just sort of anxious. And I get that, like, we're all anxious at times, but I think it's interesting when you have multiple episodes revolve around different characters who sort of just like take Telly's personality trait.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, especially when you have the same man performing Snuffy as you do Telly, and then he's just acting sort of anxious and scared of doing a
But
thing. I'm
one
like,
time he's got a stuffed up nose, and the other time he's just talking like a regular guy.
right. It's just different versions of Telly.
Yeah. It makes sense to me for Snuffy to be anxious.
Mm,
I don't know. And then Telly's kind of just like a brown noser or something. Like with Oscar, at least. That's my favorite part of Telly, that he wants to be friends with Oscar so bad. I love
yeah.
that about him.
Yeah, I think, Telly assumes no one wants to be his friend. Snuffy can't really understand why someone wouldn't be his friend.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
There are a bunch of new characters introduced through this season, some of which we will talk about specifically as we get to their sketches. But one we didn't see is Meryl Sheep, who is an actress Sheep, designed by friend of the show, Richard Termini.
Yeah.
During the season, Linda becomes the permanent owner of Barkley. The Count, in one episode, falls briefly in love with Maria and chases her around reciting her a love poem.
Hey, you can blame him,
There is a very, I feel like, maybe reading a bit too much into this, but watching the clip, the first thing, the Count comes up to Maria and she's instantly bothered by him. And she's like, oh, God, Count, I don't have time for this. I am not going to take off my shoes and socks and let you count my toes.
Oh, that's in the episode where he falls in love with her?
That's the first example she lists of things that I don't have time for today. And he's like,
Count.
hey, don't worry. I'm here to read you a poem. Like, I am not here to count your toes today. I'm here to read you a love poem.
Whoa. Count was simping before it was even a thing.
So yeah, it's an interesting. I skimmed through that episode because it definitely it's one of those where it treats the Count as like a peer of Maria.
Right.
Like
He's millions of years old.
Right. And I think if this was Grover, she'd be like, oh, Grover, you're being so silly.
Right.
Because the Count, she's like, oh, God, this guy. Fuck.
Right. Grover would say that he would like to count your toes in a way that wouldn't immediately be really creepy.
You might be worried he might pull them off of your body.
He might eat
accidentally.
your toe or something. Like a toe is going to end up detached from you for sure.
Yeah.
If you let Grover see them, but
the Count's going to eat your toes in a way that he enjoys.
Yeah, and maybe you'll enjoy it too, honestly.
Maybe. But yeah, I thought that was interesting enough to mention that happens.
Absolutely. How come we didn't watch that episode?
Because honestly, the skimming through that episode, all of that happens in like the last 15 minutes of the episode.
Oh, it's one of those situations.
Yes.
Okay.
Like their plot line is the last 15 minutes. And so there's 45 other minutes in there that would not matter as much.
Okay. I'll watch it on my own time.
Yeah, just enjoy that. At one point in the season, the amazing Mumford turns Gordon into a grouch.
Oh.
And even more amazingly, in one episode, the amazing Mumford reverses Maria's age.
What?
She turns into a teenager.
Oh, no. Why? What's going on here?
I think he's trying to make a tree small, I think is the plot, and he accidentally misses with his spell and makes Maria younger.
What happens then?
He eventually solves it, but not until after he has accidentally changed Luis, Wally, and Gordon into kids as well.
It's like
which
that
I did
episode
not.
of Star Trek. There's a Star Trek where all the crew turns into kids, and they got to figure out what to do.
I think it lasts probably a lot less time in this because the amazing Mumford then does figure out the right trick and get them all back to normal. I didn't actually watch this one, but I'd be very curious to see the ages of the kids playing Wally, Luis, and Gordon. Because Uncle Wally should be like a 20-year-old, not a kid. Unless the spell is just turn everyone into a kid, not relative to each other.
Yeah.
Something else that happens in the season is Elmo gets a monster baby doll and names it after David. But then he thinks that could be confusing. So he tells David that his new name is Dustin.
That's cute. Elmo doesn't bother me. Like, it's too bad that Elmo isn't in the clip show thing that you used to like, because Elmo isn't so bad. Like, he's not taking over the show or anything.
No, not yet, at least.
He's just kind of a fun new voice.
Slimy gets a girlfriend this season.
Oh, good for Slimy. Is she in his band? His polka band?
I don't think so.
Okay.
She is Skazina the caterpillar.
Oh, no.
Oscar is afraid it won't work because they're so different. Then Skazina goes into a cocoon at one point, and we see a sad little Slimy crying that she's not coming out.
No.
They just put like little reflective, like clear stuff like under Slimy's eyes, and it looks like he's crying. It's very sad.
That probably messed some kids up, just like when Ash's Caterpie turned into a Butterfree. Do you remember that? That was sad.
I do remember that.
And then flies away. So Oscar's right. It just ends with she leaves.
Well, no. So she comes out, transformed into a moth, and takes Slimy for a ride into the air.
Oh, okay.
We don't ever see her again. So their relationship apparently did end after this, but, you know.
Well, we
got to
don't see
fly.
everything Slimy's doing.
True.
He's got his big muscle mommy girlfriend who can lift him up in the air. That's fun for him.
And he's also secretly taking clarinet lessons. So
Yeah.
he's got a fulfilled life.
And then there's a picture of him playing a bugle in this episode where he meets Skazina too. So he knows a lot of instruments.
I think we've also talked previously that he goes to space at some point. So again,
Oh.
very full life for Slimy.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to note is that in this season, Big Bird and Snuffy work up the courage to cross the street.
Oh, good for them. We've seen
get
Big Bird
across.
the street a million times, right?
Yeah, he did leave and walk across the country.
Yeah.
So maybe it's more about Snuffy in this case.
Uh-huh.
We only saw Snuffy appear as an Obi-Wan ghost in Follow That Bird, so maybe
true.
he's not brave enough to leave.
Yeah. He's always a force projection whenever we see Snuffy.
Yeah, no one tries to push on Snuffy, but if they did, they just fall through him.
Uh-huh.
But it turns out when they cross the street, 124 Sesame Street doesn't seem to be occupied and is in fact very boring, and so they just decide to come back.
Oh, that's one. I wish we could have seen that. So they cross Sesame Street to the other
Yes.
side.
Yeah, they go to
Okay.
124 Sesame Street.
That's a fun implication that we've never seen the other side because most of the characters are just too scared to go over there.
It looks a lot less interesting than the version in Follow That Bird. It's just sort of
Yeah.
like a blank side of a building. And You're like,
Okay.
all right. So getting into the things we watched this week. First up, we have the Big Bird Goes Hollywood Sesame Street Live commercial. Super weird vibe to this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it out the gate.
Yeah, it's always weird when they I know that they're using the full body Muppets because it's probably just the performers doing the footage of this. But it's always weird when they're using a full body Muppet when they don't necessarily have to use a full body Muppet. Just to
I see what you mean.
just to see them not on stage, but in the frame of the TV screen being like, "Hello, I'm Ernie." You're clearly not. You're 7 feet tall.
I mean, I think the Big Bird at the end is the most upsetting.
Yes,
because
clearly not Carol Spinney Big Bird who's standing completely still and just his mouth is moving.
Yeah, I think that Big Bird, they make some Big Bird puppets for parades and stuff that basically have a stiff neck that doesn't have to be
Oh.
held up with a human hand.
Okay.
And I think it maybe works more like a rod puppet, like Rizzo, where it has a
Ew.
trigger for the mouth. And so I don't think that I correct me if I'm wrong. Noel McNeil, somebody who's been inside of Big Bird, but I don't think they have to have their arm up there the whole time because of parades and stuff.
I suppose that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's another way to work the mouth that's not your hand, or if it's just like that so that occasionally you can take down your hand and rest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very stilted Big Bird puppet who talks about being the director of the story in this live show. But it's mostly just weird because it seems like he's being held hostage.
Yeah. And he's got today's newspaper held up in front of him or something. Yeah. And then there's a part where Cookie Monster's looking at film reels and he goes, hubba, hubba. He found some porno.
You don't know. It could be a film strip of cookies.
Oh, I forgot. He's horny for multiple things.
Yeah. Mostly cookies.
He has been horny for women before, too, though. We have seen this, I believe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he's hit us with a My Kind of Woman before, just like Animal.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he has.
It's probably a woman holding a cookie, though.
Oh, sure. Yeah. A woman who's baked some cookies, which, yeah. The transitive property makes the woman as worthy of horny as the cookies. Is that the transitive property?
Yeah. This is right on track with their math curriculum for the season.
Exactly.
We also get to see a weird, small, round head version of Guy Smiley that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, it seems like Guy Smiley's the bad guy of the play or something, too.
No. So the plot of this is wild. Guy Smiley wins a movie studio.
He's usually the one giving people stuff, which is odd. He's just I'll be on a game show this time.
I don't know how it happens, but he must put together a feature film in 1 hour.
1 hour?
Yeah, I guess to keep the movie studio.
Real
Notably,
Scooby-Doo kind of situation.
most feature films are longer than 1 hour,
Great
even
point,
after
Matt.
editing.
You couldn't even film it, right away. There's your issue.
You could film this in real time, unedited, and it still wouldn't be long
fail.
enough.
Yeah, okay.
Director Big Bird and a bunch of other Sesame Street members decide to help him out.
You're
They
going to pick
include some-
Big Bird as your director for the movie you have to make in 1 hour. Guy.
Seems like a poor choice when you have, the Count or Ernie
or Guy Smiley, who's an entertainment industry mainstay.
Yeah, he knows way more about actually TV production than anybody else.
Uh-huh.
But they do a bunch of scenes from various genres, including Dr. Count von Countenstein, creating a Frankenstein-esque monster.
That's like somebody who never heard of Dracula.
That's too obvious, Sam.
I
You
guess
can't do a
so.
Dracula story with the Count.
I mean, yeah.
Because then you have to admit that he's actually a scary vampire.
Right, but you also run the risk of people thinking you've never heard of Dracula. So you got to weigh your options.
They do an outer space adventure. They do Grover performing a tribute to Tarzan.
Mm.
And along the way, there's 2 creepy Muppet head humans that are the bad guys of this, who are trying to sabotage.
Okay.
Their names are Izzy, Great, and Wuzzy, Wonderful.
That honestly sounds pretty fun. Like that would be like a fun movie. That kind of sounds like the $1 million movie or whatever, where they blow all their
the
money.
cheapest Muppet movie ever made.
Yeah, that one.
There is a 10-minute clip of this live show filmed on 80s camcorder style that you can watch on the internet. I didn't make us watch it because it's almost impossible to hear and understand what's happening. So I feel like we wouldn't have learned much, but that's out there for us to watch if we ever want to.
I'm glad we don't have to watch these stage shows.
If we could go see them in person, that's one thing. To, watch a home video recording from the 80s of it would be quite bad.
Maybe we can get someone to do a revival of Big Bird Goes Hollywood for us.
I don't see that happening anytime soon. Well, kicking off season 18 is the season premiere, episode 2226 from November 17th, 1986. It's been 1 year since Gordon and Susan adopted Miles when he was 11 months old, I think they say. So instead of waiting to celebrate his second birthday, I guess maybe they'll have another party in a month.
Yeah, I guess having 2 parties is great. He's a baby, not going to remember either of them, but...
I wonder how confusing it would be for babies who grew up on Sesame Street.
Well, Miles is really cute because when Big Bird comes out, he's like, "That's Big Bird."
Right, but at what age?
Like, see ya, Elmo. At what age does he see Carol take the head off and go, "Wah"? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully never. And then somebody tells him later and he doesn't see it happen.
Maybe we're revealing it right now.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. He doesn't see Big Bird like smoking a cigarette through his chest hole or something.
But then we saw some kids doing chores on a farm. This is one of the few things that was actually created new for this episode. Almost everything else in this episode is a repeat from previous seasons, but this one was a brand new thing. But yeah, it's basically just kids on the farm doing chores, followed by some city kids making the bed and grocery shopping. I think the only real notable thing during this is that when the kid is making his bed, there's a big Miss Piggy on her motorcycle from the Great Muppet Caper poster on his wall.
Oh, that's cool. An odd thing to have on your wall as a child. I thought it was interesting that they really avoided saying that they ate any of those animals. They were just like, they give us food. I love our pigs. And then they're like, the chickens give us eggs. The cows give us milk. Pigs notably absent from that list.
Yeah, and then we slaughter Harold, the pig. And then we finally get to see Big Bird and Snuffy planning their play for Miles's birthday/adoption party. They're arguing over who looks more like Susan and who looks more like Gordon. And they want to put on a play of how Gordon and Susan got Miles. And luckily, Susan happens to be walking by, so she's able to tell them the story, even though she suspects they have ulterior motives.
Yeah. I think this episode annoyed me because baby content annoys me. Like when it's at the beginning when Miles is like, this was his life on Sesame Street. This was his year. And they're like, changing his diaper. I don't want to hear about diapers on TV. I'm sick of it.
No more diapers.
It's probably just from all the Muppet Babies we have to watch, but
We do watch a lot of Muppet Babies.
I already hated baby cartoons anyway, and now I'm being forced to watch one. I don't want to see babies in Sesame Street. Sesame Street's for older kids.
Yeah, babies aren't watching this. They don't remember it.
Babies doesn't know what they're looking at.
There's another brief cartoon where a photographer is showing off his first picture of cows, his next picture of ducks, and his last picture of a pig.
What are we getting from this? What those animals look like?
I think first, next, and last is the lesson there.
Okay.
But if you wanted something where you don't learn anything, we get our next sketch, where Grover the Lumberjack arrives for dinner. And thankfully, he's the first one there to get his dinner from the old man who provides dinner for lumberjacks.
Cookie, the lumberjack cook.
His name is Zebediah.
Yeah.
Because we get to hear Grover say, "Hello, Zebediah." And yeah, basically, Grover's the first one there, but takes so long getting his boots off that a bunch of French Canadian lumberjacks run in and eat everything except for one last plate, which gets eaten by a bear.
Yeah, which I guess is also a last lesson. Maybe there's only one left. It's last, but
don't be last, or a bear will eat your food.
You learn more about Grover's kicky red boots, his highly attractive red boots, which you have to have respect for. Take them off. I agree with Grover. But yeah, this is just full of French Canadian lumberjacks. This is very unclear what the point of any of this is.
Yeah,
why they went to all the trouble to build a log cabin set, why they put all these lumberjacks together.
Definitely one of those "what are we teaching here" moments. Yeah. And the answer might just be fun.
Don't even say what a lumberjack is, I don't think.
Yeah, like I've been busy cutting down trees all day.
No one says that.
And why are they French Canadian? Who knows?
That makes a little bit more sense to me, just because that's what I think of when I think of lumberjacks. I'm not sure why.
They got trees up there. They got a lot of trees.
Yeah.
Well, then we get to see the King of Eight once again, which, having just seen it in the Jim Henson Idea Man, was still fresh in my mind. So, I feel like I could recite this thing from memory at this point.
I love it so much. I want to see a making of this because it's so beautiful, I think. I want to know how many people were helping him put this thing together.
I feel like it was surprisingly few from what they've talked about. I know there's the one, it's like a Marble Run counting short film that I think Frank Oz made. And I think he has talked about how like he just spent a whole weekend making that sort of on his own. Okay. So I think for these experimental films, it really was just like, hey, I'm going to go shoot this weird thing if you promise to put it on. But now it's time for everyone to do something fun for Miles' adoption party. Miles' birthday cake, notably not nearly big enough for all the people at this party.
No, his cake's so tiny, they don't have enough food.
Yeah, they're prepared to feed like 8 people, and there's like 25 kids here at least.
Yeah, Maria plans a bad party, I think is what I learned in this.
One of the kids at the party is Tatiana Ali, who will go on to be in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in about 4 years after this.
Wow.
But yeah, apparently she was one of the kids on Sesame Street from 84 to 89. Even though later on in this, Maria calls her Titania. And I'm like, how'd that mistake happen?
So close. Well, she's learned a lot of kids' names through the years, I suppose.
I mean, honestly, I am surprised when they like ask kids to come up and dance and do whatever, and they're naming them all by name. I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
That is always impressive, yeah.
I have to assume it's all their real names because they're not going to spend time creating characters for all those kids.
And then being like, your name is not Tatiana. Your name is...
Titania.
Yeah.
Snuffy has a delightful wig made of paper rings. So
I love that. Made me laugh.
Apparently, they decided off camera that he's going to be the Susan in this.
And we haven't seen Big Bird's mustache yet, right?
Not yet. That comes in much later. Yeah. But at this point, I was really hopeful we would see one because I knew that they, it's not done right unless Big Bird has a Gordon mustache.
Yeah. How are you going to know he's Gordon otherwise?
Exactly. But because of Snuffy's stage fright, we have to hang out with the kids a bit longer. Barkley is a menace during this, just jumping up and trying to get in the way of all the kids.
He's
and
confusingly bad in a way that an actual dog would be. And it's just like, what are you doing? And is this person really just like stumbling around awkwardly and messing everything up, or what's going on here?
Yeah, it doesn't come across as like the actor trying to mess with people. It comes across as a real dog who, like, how they would actually act at a party, which I guess good job.
Sure. And everybody seems actually mad at him too.
Yeah, Maria yells at him to go sit down at one point and like shoves him off to the side. So while Snuffy is still scared, we get Susan and the Extremes.
Boy.
This is her band featuring Gordon, Luis, Bob, and Linda performing a song called I'm So Proud, all about Miles. And it's very sweet. It's just all about how proud they are of Miles and how far he's come in the past year.
It is pretty cute, I guess. Is this something that ever comes up again? Or this is just
I don't know if it is. Not that we've seen, at least.
okay.
But I do like that their outfit, their matching outfit, is all just Hooper's Stores denim jackets.
How do you know they're Hooper store? It says on the back?
They turn around at some point, yeah. It says it on the back.
Oh. I wonder if
Which I
anybody
wouldn't
still
mind
has
owning.
one of those. Yeah.
I feel like you could make one with a can of spray paint.
Yeah, I
pretty quickly.
suppose that's probably what they did too.
After the song, Oscar announces that it's Slimy's turn. And Slimy's going to jump off a diving board into some mud. And he jumps off the diving board and falls forever.
I thought this was so funny. He wasn't actually falling forever though.
You don't think so?
No. Because he was
okay.
Oscar was just trying to bait Maria into looking into the can.
Right.
Which I think made it less funny, because for me it was funny that they spend like actually a whole minute of Oscar just being like, he's still falling into the can. I think this is below Slimy to a certain degree. I think of Slimy
That's
as
what I
more
was gonna say.
respectful, more respectful to everyone than Oscar is.
That's
'Cause
why I
this-
assumed he was actually diving. And Oscar just knew what was going to happen.
Oh, so you think? Okay. You're right, probably then, because he lands. Does the impact of him landing make the goop fly in her face?
I think that's what they're
Or
saying.
does she look in there and he spits goop into her face?
I think it's depending on how you want to read it. I think my reading was
Not something
that-
you should ever say about Sesame Street, probably.
it's open to interpretation. This is a Schrodinger's Slimy, I think. But yeah, I think like where the story, I believed the story that Oscar was telling us, I guess, that there is sort of a bottomless trash can
Okay.
that Slimy is diving into.
Uh-huh.
It takes a full minute for him to land, and Maria gets too impatient, looks over the trash can, Slimy lands in the mud, and it blip, like shoots mud into her face.
But how did Oscar know she'd look into the mud or look into the trash can exactly then? Or that was just not even part of it. That was just a little bonus.
I mean, it does seem like he knows what will happen, because at the beginning, he says that Slimy's going to do two tricks. First, he's going to dive off the diving board, and the second, you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I guess I assumed. I would love the people at home to tell us what they think happened, because I assumed she looked in and he spit mud in her face, and that was the
Which-
second trick.
Does make me feel worse about Slimy as a character. I don't feel like Slimy would do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing I thought was below Slimy, because
Yeah.
Slimy seems like a nice guy who just happens to hang out with a guy who's kind of got a bad attitude.
He could be a bad influence, I guess. I could, like, the way that you're saying that could go, like, that feels like the more likely scenario based on the way Oscar leans into it at the beginning. Like, he does seem to know that's going to happen. And,
Yeah.
like, the timing of that would have to be perfect otherwise.
Right.
So,
But you're right
yeah.
too that it's Sesame Street, so it's just a cartoon basically, and I don't know.
right. And Oscar's trash can often is essentially the TARDIS of Sesame Street, where
Yes, which
he
makes it not
has, like-
strange for sure.
yeah.
But I think it was weird that they didn't play like the slide whistle sound for a long time or something. Like whee falling. So I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed
Yeah.
to think here. We'll be debating this till the end of time, basically.
Yeah.
Did
It'd
Slimy
be the
spits?
two old men on the front porch just being like,
or-
I think he was really diving.
But Maria also has a bad attitude, so I could see Slimy
Mm.
being like, it would be kind of funny. This lady is a little bit of a stick up her ass.
And then we get Telly and the Honkers performing a song for Miles, which I do like the Honkers. Like, I don't know. They feel like a weird subset of Sesame Street characters where I would not predict that they would interact with the street members very often.
Right. They seem like they exist in the different universe that is the skits more.
Right. Like the void where they do like the mystery box kind of things.
Yeah. But they were in the movie, I believe, right? There's honkers and dingers, I think in
think
the
so.
movie.
Yeah.
But it is weird. Like, where do they fit all these guys is really the question. Like, where are they living?
There's just like a giant 40-story apartment building off screen, and
Yeah.
it's just full of Muppets.
Just the most filthy apartment building full of exploded food, and it's always on fire, and yeah, not a good place. You think
Big
all
Bird-
Muppets live there, or just the Sesame Street Muppets?
Oh, just the Sesame Street ones.
Okay. Okay.
All the random workers and everyone we see who seems to
Right.
live on Sesame Street, but we don't really get a backstory on. I
Yeah.
think they all live in one giant apartment building.
I know the Muppet Show Muppets, they live just normal lives, more or less normal lives in their own
Yeah, I think so.
apartments and stuff. Yeah, okay.
I mean, we do get COVID pulled back a curtain in a weird way where a lot of those
Where Cookie Monster's fabulously wealthy and has the most beautiful kitchen you've ever seen in your life.
precisely what I was
That's
thinking of.
right.
And then Gonzo had a similar thing at one point where you're like, that's not Gonzo's
Damn,
house.
Gonzo. Doing all right for yourself, bud.
Yeah.
Cookie
A
Monster,
lot of
though, that one makes like that's a funny joke that you'd be
Mhm.
like, Cookie Monster must live in like a hole. And then you go to his house and be like, holy shit. And then you think about it and be like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. He has been a star forever. And he loves making cookies, so he would invest in the most beautiful kitchen of all time.
It was a weird vibe, the early COVID Sesame Street things where you just saw real kitchens and things behind people. Eventually they leaned into the green screen side of it.
Right. I feel like you
But
never saw like Big Bird was never in like a mansion, right?
I
Maybe.
think Big Bird had a background pretty quickly. My guess is that that's partially I mean, this is a lot of assumptions. I know for a lot of those, they shipped puppets to the people's houses so that they could perform sketches from home.
But Big Bird,
So,
maybe you have to go there.
yeah, I don't know if you can mail Big Bird.
He's pretty big.
Got to do an Operation Dumbo drop. Well, Big Bird is able to encourage Snuffy to finally do the play by telling him if he doesn't, Miles won't know how he got to Sesame Street.
Maybe they don't want Big Bird and Snuffleupagus telling Miles about how he was adopted. They got to clear that with his parents first, probably.
I mean, to be fair, Big Bird just ends up pretty much quoting exactly what Susan said.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where if you have a private discussion with one of your friends about their kid, and then you just go to their kid, they'd be like, hey, guess what your mom said about you?
I'll show you in the form of a play.
I'm your mom now. But Big Bird puts on his Gordon mustache and reveals that Elmo apparently helped write this.
That explains a lot.
But also doesn't, because Elmo has not been involved in these plans at all that we've seen.
Maybe he's
He
been
just pops
riding
up.
around on Big Bird's back and you just can't see him.
He's always behind Big Bird.
Yeah.
When you don't see Elmo,
Uh-huh.
Big Bird kicks it off saying, make believe I have no feathers on top of my head, which
That's pretty
Gordon
good.
finds lightly amusing.
Pretty good roast on Gordon.
And we get to see the adoption place where Elmo works as sort of a baby salesman. But Elmo at first doesn't want to give baby Miles over to Gordon and Susan Big Bird Snuffy and says, baby want to think about it. Have to wait. Don't call me. Me call you. It is interesting at this point where Elmo is so early in his career that he often switches between 40-year-old man and 3-year-old child.
Well, that's kind of a Grover thing. That's a classic Sesame Street thing, I feel like.
Well, I feel like Elmo can pull that off these days a bit more, but I feel like you feel like it's a 3-year-old acting like a 40-year-old sometimes, as opposed to just like, hey, and now I'm a 40-year-old baby salesman.
And that might have been actually what annoyed people about Elmo more, was that he often was just a baby and he didn't have quite as much. I don't know if that's true. It just seems like everybody thought of him as like the annoying baby, even though Grover's also an annoying baby. He can just tell a good old man joke every now and then. I did write down that Big Bird's Gordon voice is very Kermit coded.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely froggish. It's definitely like in the throat, kind of his impression. But I think that's maybe just like if you're doing a Big Bird voice and you try to make it less nasal, but still sound like Big Bird, I guess maybe it lands on Kermit.
It made me wonder if they ever thought about giving Carol a shot at being Kermit.
I mean, yeah, I'm always curious about some of the audition processes behind those things when it does feel like, you know, you'll see a lot of sentiment on the internet of, well, why not just give the Peter Linz, who does Ernie, the keys to Kermit?
Right.
Like, Ernie sounds like Kermit, so why not have the same person do it? And I'm sure there's very many good reasons, but like, I think it would be interesting to get more insight into a lot of those audition scenes because, like, when Jim died, did people already know that Steve Whitmire could do a good Kermit? Or were they like, oh shit, which one of you can do a Kermit?
Did Jim know that he could do a good Kermit? Was Jim also thinking about this? Or
Yeah, I'm not sure because I know, you know, again, in the 90s and 2000s, they ended up having like a roster of a couple people who could do Kermit well enough where at least once, I think on America's Got Talent, there's a different Kermit
Oh, yeah, you
performer.
mentioned that before.
And it's bizarre, and it sounds like no Kermit you've ever heard.
Uh-huh.
But there were times that they would sub in people for Kermit.
Do you not even know who that was? The Kermit?
The name is on Muppet Wiki. It escapes me at the moment. But yes, there were backup performers for Kermit who sometimes would be lip syncing to things, but at least in this one instance, straight up did the performance.
Huh.
Well, at the ending party, pretty much just continuing the celebration. The grandparents and parents sing a song to Miles while
That song
Miles eats.
sucked.
It's a very bad song.
That song
It doesn't
was
sound like they
really bad.
It doesn't sound like they rehearsed at all. It sounds like Gordon says, "We're gonna sing a song to you now," and everyone went, "Oh
We
shit,
are?
we're what?" All right, I guess I'll make up a song
Yeah.
now. You're my grandson. I'm your grandpa. This is your grandma. You're a boy.
Yes, absolutely. Very ad-libbed song. Like the real version of what would happen if your life was a musical. Everybody, it was so bad.
But Miles has a gigantic piece of cake during that scene that I was like, there's no way any of that is making it into his mouth when he's
And
trying to
it's
eat the biggest piece of cake.
as we've established, a tiny cake. So why
Yeah.
waste it all on the baby?
Give like an eighth of that cake to the
Yeah,
baby.
you could actually give the baby no cake, and the baby wouldn't even know it didn't have cake.
So that's the commitment motto of the day. Don't give your kids any cake. They won't remember.
I said baby, not just kid.
But that is it for that episode of Sesame Street. So moving on to some random clips that we watched from throughout season 18. The first one is from December 31st, 1986. Computer Trouble from episode 2258. David's malted maker is broken, which based on Luis's reaction happens a lot.
Oh no.
When he comes in, he's like, "Hey, Luis, I need a hand here." And Luis is like, let me guess, the malted maker.
Just get a new one at this point.
But as you mentioned in your summary, Luis explains to David what a cursor is on the computer. And it's a thing that marks the spot. So that way, when you come back to your computer, you can remember where you were typing.
I've never thought about it at all. But then when he described it, I was like, I guess that's right. I would never think there was even a way to describe what it was. But I suppose that's it.
But while he's gone helping David, the Martian yip aliens appear. I love these guys so much.
They were driving me fucking crazy this time. I
Oh,
don't know what it
no.
was. They were annoying me. I think they just did the excited yipping thing too many times.
That's really all they got.
Guys. Yeah, and that became apparent to me. That's all they had. I think it's when they're interacting with somebody else. It's better when they're just by themselves, maybe. But that doesn't happen often because they're usually just like looking at a phone and like screaming about the phone or something.
I think I like their design so much.
They look cool. That's true.
Like as puppets, the way they operate, it feels like no other puppet is operated the same way they are.
Yeah, they're like a classic Muppet design for sure.
Yeah, sort of a throwback to the scrap flap business kind of Ed Sullivan Muppets.
Right.
And then the weirdness happens where we get a 1 hour later
card
on the screen.
Did whoever make this video put that in there? Or
it looks like it, but I don't think so.
Or is it
a
two
weird thing to
street
add.
scenes that... Yeah, that was really weird. Why did they need to say that? Why couldn't he just appear right when Luis and David left or something?
I don't know.
And a kid can't even read that. It says 1 hour later. What's going on
That's
here?
True. No idea. But the Martian brings the computer a rose.
Yeah. I like that's just one of them. Like the only time you ever see one of them by themselves. And he's like, I must do this secretly. I'm in love with this computer to my shame. And the prop rose is odd too because it doesn't really like read as a flower as much as it just looks kind of like a stick to me or something.
It's kind of dried out, like one that you'd save from like a wedding or prom or something.
Right.
And
it's not like a big fake, like clearly a rose.
Right.
It's kind of fucked up looking.
Maybe it's an alien rose. And it ends with Luis coming out after they've taken off, rightfully confused by the presence of a rose.
Somebody had sex with my computer. Who had sex with my computer?
Is this cyber sex? Who put this rose here?
The Yip aliens invented cybering.
Is my computer coming on to me? Is my computer giving me a rose?
He gets married to his computer instead of Maria.
Sorry, Maria.
Yeah. I'm in love with
me and
computer.
Apple are getting married.
Yep.
Well, a few days later, on January 2nd, 1987, we'd have Birdland Jump, from episode 2260, which features Joe Williams performing Birdland Jump at Birdland, which is a new club that Hoots the Owl has opened this season.
This is an interesting new wrinkle in the Sesame Street world. The whole Hoots the Owl thing is interesting to me.
Yeah, it also comes up multiple times throughout the season. Like, Birdland is the new cool hangout that people go to. But apparently kids get in to this nightclub. That's
I was
okay,
just
because the
noticing that too,
Birdketeers
yeah.
are there, along with a bunch of great bird puppets. There's one point apparently in this episode where Telly and his new friend Juliet, who is pretty much girl Telly in her performance, are worried that they're not really fitting in at Birdland because they're not birds.
Mhm.
But then it's made clear to them that, like, Birdland's for everyone.
Despite the name.
I am shocked by how long this goes on.
It's long. There's a couple skits in this whole thing where I'm like, this is still happening, huh? The adoption play skit was one where I was like, you couldn't tighten this up a little bit, guys. Do we really
Well,
need to see all of this?
I think for me, like, nothing changes during this performance.
Mhm.
And they do a thing twice where they stop the song and then go, one more time, and start it again. And they do that twice. And yeah, like I said, there's a character introduced in this episode named Juliet, whose puppet has been used for like 8 different characters on Sesame Street. And it seems like they just like retire her characters and then introduce a new one with the same puppet, because she was used for Mona Monster, who was Telly's sister, and a character named Frida. And then Juliet vanishes in 1991, and then will return as a different role named Ingrid. Couple weeks later, on January 14th, 1987, we get A New Way to Walk from episode 2268, introduced from Old MacDonald on Mac TV.
I thought this part was cute. I liked the very Scottish Old MacDonald introducing songs by farm animals. I think it would have been better if it wasn't just this one long, really bad song. It was several songs.
Wow.
It was several
I think you're gonna
songs,
get some pushback from the internet on that
why
one,
people
Sam.
like this song?
I think this is a classic Sesame Street song.
God, I thought it was so annoying.
At one point in the future, it will be covered by Destiny's Child.
Really?
On Sesame Street, they will show up and do a cover of it with Elmo, Zoe, and Grover.
Ugh, I couldn't even with this song. It was driving me nuts. It feels like it's 12 minutes long.
Well, it is, as Old MacDonald says, it's for fans of good music and pork bellies. So we get the Oinker. We get the Oinker sisters, who were puppeteered here by Richard Hunt, Kevin Clash, and Martin P. Robinson. It's catchy, but I don't really know what it's trying to say.
I mean, I guess they're crossing the street.
Yeah, Muppet Wiki says it is celebrating the joy of pedestrianism and the individual.
The individual? Oh, because you're like confident because you found
Right.
yourself somehow or something.
I found
like
a
that.
new way to walk, which is more upright and to my own beat and more confident. And so I think that's like the thing here is sort of like, don't be sad.
Yeah.
Just walk with confidence and you'll feel better about yourself.
And then it does at some point they're like, also, this is how you cross the street correctly. I guess we have to we gotta teach them something.
Yeah, but they don't even sing like wait for the sign to say walk and then
No.
walk. It's just watch us walk and sing about walking.
So
I also
you
didn't
like
love it, Sam.
Okay,
No.
I was gonna say
I'm just saying the internet, I think this is a classic Sesame Street
don't
song
leave
from
me
what I
out here
understand.
twisting in the wind.
No.
Matt. You didn't like it.
I think it's
either.
catchy. I wouldn't say I liked it.
I think it's catchy. What's the bad version of catchy? Annoying.
Contagious?
Yeah, it's contagious. Yeah, it's been in my head in a negative way since I heard it.
Well, we'll move on from it, so maybe we can get it out of your head by talking about the introduction of Sunny Friendly from January 22nd, 1987 in the My Best Friend game show from episode 2274. Some context, in the previous episode, 2273, Big Bird and Elmo beg Maria to take them to the Best Friend game show, where Maria says, I'll take you tomorrow. So we learn about the context of the game show in the previous episode.
Okay.
And Maria is persuaded because Elmo asks if he could call Maria his best friend.
Sure.
And she's very flattered.
And Elmo's made
And
a lot
then
of big promises about people being his best friend throughout this episode, or what?
yeah, so he asks
Okay.
Bob if he can talk about him as his best friend. He asks Gordon if he'd like to be his best friend. He asks Susan. He confirms with the Honkers that they'll be his best friend. So I think even at the end of the episode, Elmo invites us to be his best friend.
Oh,
So
okay.
we are even burned by this episode of him
Oh, I don't
choosing so
mind.
many other
I don't
people.
mind. I think you can have lots of best friends, right?
Yeah, sure.
Not strictly by the definition of the word best friend, but
I also think you can't have 25 best friends.
and I wouldn't be insulted if Elmo of all people said I wasn't his best. Like said he had multiple best friends. He's a baby.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would believe him in the first place when he said it.
I suppose at this point nobody should trust Elmo anymore. So Maria's
But
there
this-
at the game show. That's why she's not sitting with. She took all
Correct.
of them.
Yes. There's a scene from earlier in the episode that we didn't see where they take them to the TV studio and they're sort of amazed at like, wow, what are all these cameras and everything?
Oh, that's fun. Bad game show though. What's the concept?
I guess you tell the best story about your friend and you win a prize.
Oh, and you win because Grangetta wins, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, this episode kicks off with Bob welcoming us to Sesame Street and says, hey, something really exciting's happening today. Big Bird, Elmo, and Grangetta are going to be contestants on my best friend game show. And Bob is especially excited because Elmo asked him to be his best friend.
Yes, this is so cute. He's
And then we
looks
meet-
so proud of himself.
Yeah, all the adults, I feel a little
Yeah.
bad for how
Yeah.
stoked they are to be a 3-year-old's best friend.
I can't wait till everybody sees that I'm Elmo's best friend. Won't they all be disappointed?
Yeah. Oh, poor Susan. Wait till she finds out I'm Elmo's best friend.
Yeah,
Her,
these guys all
her
hate-
husband.
These guys all hate each other.
But then we meet Sunny Friendly, who introduces the show as we start to hear those inner monologues of the adults who are excited to hear Elmo say that they're Elmo's best friend. What'd you think of Sunny Friendly?
Why not just Guy Smiley? Because they couldn't get Jim on set that day?
I'm guessing they wanted an additional game show host.
Yeah.
Because this is America's friendliest game show host in his first appearance. In the future, they'll develop this into more of a recurring bit called Sunny Friendly's Traveling Game Show, where he'll pop up on Sesame Street itself to start basically like a surprise game show is happening to you.
Okay. If Guy Smiley didn't exist, I'd have no problem with Sunny Friendly. But just thinking about how much better this would be if it was Guy Smiley.
Well, apparently at some point, Sunny also appears as a guest on Guy Smiley's What's My Job?
Oh.
And the panelists are
Awkward.
supposed to be guessing Sunny's occupation.
Uh-huh.
And one of Guy Smiley's clues is that Sunny's job is like his, only Sunny doesn't do it as well.
That's awesome.
But in the 90s, after Jim passed away, Sunny replaced Guy as the host of the new Here Is Your Life.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine. But it would be so fun to see Jim interacting with Elmo and Grangetta, you know?
Yeah. But Elmo's up first as a contestant and starts reading off a list of descriptions of his best friends. And with every item, another adult is like, oh, shit, that's me. I do feed Elmo occasionally. And that's when Elmo starts to read off the list, which includes Susan, Bob, David.
They gotta feed these guys? What is going on Sesame Street?
I mean, David's running Hooper Store where, there's birdseed milkshakes and everything. So
I suppose. Is that their only source of food for many of them?
I don't know. But if so, who's paying for it?
Or do they put out big bowls of kibble on the street that all the monsters eat?
There's just a trough that Oscar dines from. My favorite thing about that is once all the adults are sort of getting upset that Elmo named all of them, they just start arguing and completely ignore all of the children in this scene, which I feel like happens from time to time on Sesame Street. When they're not like named kids, they're just like props in the scene. Or it's like, okay, maybe this is a weird thing to do in front of all these kids.
Just screaming at each other.
Then it's Big Bird's turn, who immediately says that his best friend is Snuffy. And he brought an ice cream stained blanket from a picnic they had.
Weird.
Prop.
Weird they says it's raspberry, but it looks like a yellow stain, right?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's just the quality of the clip we had to watch. Because he says, like, as you can see, it was obviously raspberry.
Yeah. Yellow stain on something's a weird choice anyway.
Yeah, I think
So I hope it was
thankfully, I'm
pink.
guessing it was pink. But he also brought a bunch of notes in the form of a giant stack of dot matrix printer paper
Yeah.
to read off why Snuffy is his best friend.
He used all of Luis's printer paper for this.
Well, it's the only computer in town also,
Yeah.
so I think...
In all of New York City, Luis has the only one.
No, there's that one in the Mad Men office.
Yeah.
They have the
There's two.
room-size one in Mad Men, and then they have
And
Luis's.
Luis's little computer. And everybody in New York takes turns on but one of those two.
The last contestant is Grungetta the Grouch, who talks about Oscar as her best friend. And she wins because she has the most unusual best friend story.
Yeah, because he's a horrible, nasty guy that she hates.
Yep.
It was weird that part where Oscar missed it because his TV was fucked up. What was the point of that?
I don't know what the point of it was, but it's because Bob steals his antenna.
Oh, so that they
To
can
make
watch
their TV work.
Their TV. Oh.
Yeah.
Nasty of Bob to do.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, again, the purpose of that, but that is why he has bad service.
Oh, okay. Did I miss that at the beginning?
I think it's a really quick thing. Yeah, where
Okay.
Bob just sort of walks by and he's like, Oscar won't need this. Then later in January 29th, 1987, we meet Dwayne the Dragon during a performance of Still We Like Each Other from episode 2279.
What's going on with this guy? They put a lot of work into this guy and they never used him again.
No, this is the one and only time we will see Dwayne the Dragon from the Kingdom of Gorf.
It almost feels like he's going to be like in a spin-off or something.
Yeah, like maybe this is where Eureka's
Backdoor
Castle got the
pilot.
idea.
Exactly. He looks a lot like Magellan. He's like a color reverse Magellan.
He looks less like Magellan than you remember, but I had the same thought where I was like, this guy looks just like Magellan. And then I Googled Magellan again. It was like, oh, yeah, they look pretty different, actually.
Well, okay.
But yeah, so some things about Dwayne the Dragon. I feel like we're doing a lot of mini Muppet of the Week segments this week. Dwayne the Dragon plays the horn and loves crunchy vegetables with gooey peanut butter.
This is all from one episode, though.
Yeah, everything is laid out in this one episode. He greets everyone as Sir or Princess.
Oh, okay.
And he apparently runs away from his home in this episode when his best friend, Sir Steve, neglects to feed him and instead chooses to play with Princess Thelma.
That's really weird.
Yep. And so apparently he wandered off, gets lost, and ends up on Sesame Street where he befriends Snuffy.
Because his parental figure wanted to play.
Yeah. I found a lady, I forgot to feed my dog. That's essentially what happens.
That'll happen.
But Sir Steve eventually does come to bring Dwayne back home at the end of the episode. After, Snuffy and Dwayne sing this sweet song about how they're different, but they can still like each other.
Which apparently Grover has already sung at one point. Is what it says
really?
in Muppet Wiki, that this is a rehash of a song that Grover sang.
Oh. I don't even remember if we've seen that.
I don't think so. It didn't sound super familiar.
Yeah, it seems like back in 1972 he sang it to just Green Anything Muppet Girl in a Flower Garden.
Oh yeah, this does not look familiar. It seems like something he would have sung to like Rhea Perlman or something.
Yeah, no, I could see him with Rhea Perlman's an interesting pull. I was going to say like Gilda Radner or somebody.
That's who I probably meant to say. Maybe in the 86 he'd sing it to Rhea Perlman though. When did Cheers premiere? Probably pretty soon, right?
82, 84,
yeah,
something like that.
So there you go.
Their differences apparently are that one loves gooey peanut butter, the other doesn't. And one is brown and fuzzy, and the other isn't.
I assume that's different from the Grover version of the song. I bet he says blue and fuzzy.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet that's the only difference. But yeah, it's so interesting that they built this giant dragon for one episode. It seems like such an investment.
Throw him in a wood chipper or something?
No,
is he still out there?
Like foam in a wood chipper wouldn't do pretty good. You probably have to burn him.
Yeah, you melt him down.
That's what caused the hole in the ozone layer.
All the Muppets that they were going through on the season of Sesame Street.
Yeah, it's just like penguins. That big... This is a very wide-reaching reference. You remember the movie Beethoven?
Yeah.
It's implied in that movie that there's a big furnace that they do some bad things with.
Put dogs in?
Yeah, I think so. Stanley Tucci and Oliver Platt are like tossing dogs in a furnace, I think.
Jesus.
And that's what I'm picturing, is these puppets being tossed in a giant furnace.
No.
Like just a fomatorium.
Does Charles Grodin want to burn up Beethoven?
No, Charles Grodin's the good guy.
He is, but he
Well-
and Beethoven have an interesting relationship, right?
At the beginning, he doesn't like Beethoven, but by the end, he is defending Beethoven from the
Okay.
guy who's like, I want puppies.
I've never seen Beethoven. I gotta watch it.
Whoa.
I
Stanley
guess, yeah.
Tucci's greatest work. It's definitely not Stanley Tucci's greatest work, by the way.
What is Stanley Tucci's greatest work?
Ooh, his Italy travel show is pretty good. Oh, but no, it's definitely Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Or Easy A is also very good. Well, moving on from Tucci Cast, we go to February 5th, 1987 for the Alphabet Polka, a weirdly reversed order clip happening here.
Yeah, this was like, why did this happen?
I don't know. We should talk about these at the same time, though, because
Yeah.
we have this clip from February 5th, and then the other clip is from March 2nd, almost a month later.
Oh,
Uh,
weird. Okay. So it was
yes.
like maybe they filmed this and then they were like, we got to see how these two met each other.
There is no way they brought John Candy back twice. They filmed both of these the same day, and then for some reason aired them in a weird order because they just assumed kids wouldn't remember.
All the kids are writing in saying, how did Yash and Slimy meet?
Who's
We
Schmengi?
have to know. Everyone's talking about this Schmengi.
So yes, this is Yash Schmengi, played by John Candy, in an SCTV character showing up on Sesame Street, which
Yeah.
is truly wild.
Which is the kind of stuff I love on Sesame Street. I love when like Ed Grimley also
Yeah.
shows up on Sesame Street.
a lot of SCTV characters.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so the first one we watched, the first one that aired, is Yash Schmengi playing the Alphabet Polka with the Worm Band, who he knows at this point all know how to play instruments. He's
Right.
not surprised.
Time has
and
come unglued on Sesame Street, basically.
This is a pretty straightforward alphabet song, just, to a polka beat.
Yeah, it was fine. It was pretty cute. It goes
One of my
on
f-
too long, maybe, but
It does the same thing where they do the fake out of like, you thought the song was over?
Yeah.
Psych. And even Big Bird is fooled.
that seems like a polka thing, though. Maybe like that's
Yeah.
like a common polka trope, perhaps.
Like, we got you. We never end the
Yeah.
song when you want us to.
Yeah.
But then the other clip is Schmengi by Male Music Institute from episode 2301. Yosh Schmengi from Lutonia shows up, but can't find anyone until Oscar pops out of his trash can. And this is exactly who Yosh was looking for, because Oscar is their 100th customer, which is not a lot, for the clarinet lesson by Male.
All kids know what polka is, and that accent's not problematic at all or anything.
I have to imagine John Candy did this because he had kids at the time. He had a 4-year-old and like an 8-year-old at the time.
Okay.
So going on Sesame Street as a parent, probably a pretty big deal.
Is he in a polka band in Home Alone when they give her?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Interesting.
So I looked into this a little bit because I was like, does John Candy actually play clarinet? Because he's playing clarinet here. He played clarinet on SCTV, and he played clarinet in Home Alone.
Oh, okay.
So is this a thing? And the answer is almost.
Oh, interesting.
Because John Candy did play clarinet in school, but didn't really keep it up. So most of the time, he is not the one actually playing clarinet, but he, at one point in his life, knew how to play clarinet. So I'm guessing that just makes it look more convincing, is he kind of knows what to do to match the music, but he's not the one playing the clarinet.
And then he was like, what's funny? Clarinets.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I'm just only going to play clarinet guys from now on.
Yeah. And then the second one also goes on forever. There was a point where I was like, they're still fucking talking to each other. They're just kind of yammering on and on to each other forever, I feel like.
Yeah, they kind of have to go through a lot of admin at first. And it's just like, where's your clarinet? And he's like, I don't have
Exactly.
one. The lessons are from my pet worm. I'm like, your pet worm can't play the
Okay,
clarinet.
Where's your worm? There's your
Yeah.
worm. Where's your worm's clarinet? There's your worm's clarinet. Now, wait a
Yes.
minute. Your worm doesn't have hands. Doesn't matter. He can still play clarinet. Then he plays clarinet, and then John Candy says, he's pretty good at clarinet. And then he says, can I play clarinet with your worm? And then they play clarinet together. It's so forever.
It's a lot of back and forth. I do like that Oscar genuinely seems to enjoy the polka playing, though.
That makes sense because, it makes
The
sense.
nastiest music.
Yeah, I think it could be. It's just music that maybe has a potential to annoy people, and he would like that.
Right. I feel like I have a soft spot for polka because of Weird Al, but I also don't know that I would ever want to listen to polka that isn't Weird Al.
Yeah, and I like polka because of the Pennsylvania polka from Groundhog Day. That looks like a fun time
Yeah.
that they're having on Groundhog Day. It
It
just looks like I want to be there, specifically just there so bad at that particular moment in time, doing the Pennsylvania polka, not in Punxsutawney, but somewhere else in Chicago or like in the Chicagoland area, I think.
Dude, polka in Chicago was a thing
Yeah.
because I think it's a Polish thing. I don't
Uh-huh.
know if those two words
I
are
think
actually
it-
connected,
I think it
but
might be.
I feel like, yeah, in Chicago, it was hard to escape polka.
Yes, that's right.
The cutest thing about both of these for me is there's two little worms who are playing a concertina together.
Yeah.
And one of them is on each side of it, having to like squeeze inward to make the concertina work.
I love that. Yeah. I thought this all was really Slimy's just so fucking cute. Slimy is one of the cutest guys to ever do it. I like that Oscar's like proud of him for knowing how to play clarinet.
Yeah, it's very sweet. It's like
and
the only person that Oscar actually likes is
Yeah,
Slimy.
it's just Slimy, and he's like, it's an ancient worm secret how they play clarinet, and he's not going to tell you what the secret is. And I like when he says, "Get out here and bring your little licorice stick."
Well, the next thing we watch is from March 4th, 1987, just a couple days later, from episode 2303, Professor Rabbit and Garbo.
Yeah, basically, Uncle Wally has a who's the Invisible Rabbit movie? What's that?
Harvey?
Harvey. Uncle Wally's having his Harvey moment.
He's got a couple Harveys.
Yeah, and he starts describing these guys, and I like that even Bob's like, "You're insane. I love you so much."
Uncle Wally's here to introduce us to two of his old friends. One has big ears, eats carrots, hops, and is much older than Wally, a 98-year-old rabbit.
I love that they felt the need to age these guys.
It's so weird. The other one is a 6-foot-tall monkey, and she's 75 years old and juggles.
Yeah. And the fact that she's 75 doesn't mean anything. Like, it makes sense that the rabbit's old. It's hilarious that the rabbit is almost 100 years old, but the juggling monkey, nothing.
Doesn't look old, doesn't have gray hair,
Yeah.
nothing about this monkey. She could be 4, she could be 94.
Also,
doesn't
how did
matter.
they made her a monkey and they didn't just take her tail off and say, "You're a gorilla"? Because she's, gorilla-sized, gorilla face.
Oh, I see. Yes, the size
monkey?
reasoning. I was like, why does she need to be a gorilla? But
why does she need to be a monkey is a better question for me.
It feels like this is a first idea, best idea sort of situation.
Like somebody was hungover or something in the Sesame Street writer's room.
But Bob refuses to believe this.
Yeah.
Even though he was just playing a game with an 8-foot talking bird.
Yeah, and he very recently met that bird's imaginary friend who was actually real, who he thought was imaginary for like 20 years.
Yeah. What is up with this? Like, oh, well, I'm sure these giant animals are completely make-believe.
Every day of his life, he interacts with a vampire and several monsters who just live, and are called monsters.
Is it the age thing? Does he know that Muppets die young?
They die young?
Well, I'm saying, like, a rabbit is not a weird thing for Bob to meet.
No, that's true. The 98 years old thing is the thing that's tripping him up. He doesn't think they die young. He just has only had the experience of all of them being babies.
Right. He's never met an old Muppet.
Except the Count, who's millions of years old.
Right.
There's an exception to every rule, though. I just don't think he ever thought about his uncle having a life. Or he just thinks his uncle's insane. Because it really isn't like, I don't believe you, old man. He's more like, sure you do, you crazy old kook.
Yeah, it seems it sets it up as if Uncle Wally just constantly is telling stories like
he's
this.
An Abe. I think we've said before, he's like an Abe Simpson type. This is an odd character to introduce to Sesame Street, though. Like, why? Who had the idea for Uncle Wally, and why?
I think they wanted someone old after Mr. Hooper died.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I think they wanted to have a diversity of ages on the show.
Sure.
And so once Mr. Hooper died, I think they were like, we need another old guy.
Okay, that makes sense.
But we do learn that Uncle Wally was a juggling stuff salesman, as he says. And Garbo was a professor at the School of Philosophy and Juggling.
Odd. We learned so much about all these characters that also basically never appear again.
They really want a juggling Muppet to work, don't they?
And Garbo's pretty close. I have no problem with Garbo, really. She's way less scary than Dexter.
Yes, absolutely. Works much better than Dexter.
Mm-hmm.
But the lesson here seems to be that she's both a teacher and a student because there's always new things to learn, even when you're 75. But then, yeah, later in the episode, they're just helping Linda out at the library.
Yeah, we don't know what to
Turns
do
out the
with these
professor can do magic, which is more helpful than when Garbo's just juggling the books.
guys. Yeah, that was a great reveal. Just like, I do actually know real magic.
But also, he was putting books on a shelf that was 2 feet behind him.
Yeah, well, it's still
You
impressive.
don't need magic for that.
If you saw somebody do that, you'd still be like, holy shit. Then later
Yeah,
on
but
the
I'd also
drive
be
home,
like-
you'd be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I could have done that in the same amount of time that it took you to do it.
Yes, and no magic is cast for free. So what horrible pact did he have to make to be able to teleport books 2 feet?
Dexter died. Dexter had to die so that Garbo and
That's
Professor
fine.
Rabbit could live.
That's fine.
I do like the professor keeps calling Big Bird Birdie.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's supposed to be just like an old man trait of giving people nicknames.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Garbo here is played by Fred Garbo. Wonder where they got the name.
Okay.
He played Barkley on Sesame Street in the 80s, taking over from Brian Meal at one point. So yeah, he was just a person they knew they could shove in a costume and would do a good job.
Sure.
And then Professor Dexter Rabbit is performed by Kevin Clash, who Professor Dexter Rabbit would have a bunch of appearances throughout the years, all the way up through season 20.
But
although
Garbo never shows up again.
Again, another big-ass costume
Another
they built
big
for
one.
one appearance.
Throw 'em
There's
in
just Dwayne and
furnace.
Garbo costumes hanging out somewhere.
That's so weird. I wonder if when that happens, somebody gets mad at them. Like, I feel like if I wasted that much time and money at work, someone would be
Yeah.
like, "Why did you build that?"
I built a
don't know.
$2,000 monkey costume. What do you want me to do with it now?
I guess put it next to the $2,000 dragon costume you built for no reason a couple months ago. This is going on your permanent record. So was Coco the gorilla a big deal at this point? Is that why?
I mean, I
mean,
think so, but I
Just
also
looks like-
couldn't tell you. I think Coco was eternal in my mind as a kid, of just
Yeah.
always had existed.
yeah, and I think that seems to be the case.
Well, the next day on Sesame Street, March 5th, 1987, episode 2304, we get Do Da Rubber Duck with Ernie, which is a full-on reggae song with a bunch of naked Muppets. It's a great song, but I was a little distracted by all the naked Muppets.
It only kind of set on me like halfway through that he was in the
Oh, because
bathtub.
they're so smart. They're so smart the way they roll this out, Sam. So you do get Ernie washing his feet and upper body in the bath. So you can kind of assume Ernie's
Uh-huh.
naked there.
Uh-huh.
But then the first Muppets that join Ernie in the bath are Telly, Oscar, and Kermit.
Oh, naked guys anyway.
Naked guys, no problem.
Yeah.
But then the Count shows up. And you're like, I don't know if I've ever seen the Count shirtless.
Is he? And he is shirtless. He's sometimes he's wearing like a bathing suit, you know? I think we've seen
That's the
him in,
thing.
like,
Yeah. An old-timey thing.
Mhm.
I think we can safely, for the sake of, their dignity, let's assume they're all wearing swimming trunks
Okay.
in this.
Okay, I like that.
But still, the Count, Biff, and Guy Smiley all show up
Yeah.
at least shirtless in this bathtub.
When
The
Biff
most-
shows up,
The most middle-aged men of characters.
Yeah. There's other like normally nude characters you could have thrown in there besides Biff and Guy Smiley.
I feel like Ernie, Biff, Guy, and the Count should just be in a sauna somewhere. Being
Yeah.
old dudes in a sauna.
They're
That makes
down at
more
the-
sense to me.
They're down at the Y.
Yeah.
But Cookie Monster's not even here, I don't think. Like, put Cookie Monster in there. He
He
got no
doesn't
shirt.
bathe.
Grover's not there. Grover doesn't wear a shirt ever. I mean, I guess he
Yeah.
actually does wear a shirt quite often, but he doesn't need to wear a shirt. Almost back in the hamper. This is great. This is fantastic. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting that Oscar's even there and this happens later in another skit too. Oscar doesn't usually show up in these kind of things, I feel like.
Right. It is maybe they're trying to make Oscar a little bit more likable. Christopher Surf, who worked on Sesame Street, talked about this song a little bit, saying he was on vacation with Henry Beard, who started the National Lampoon, and his stepdaughter, who'd grown up on Sesame Street, was there and said, "There's a style of reggae music called rubber duck reggae. You should do that on Sesame Street."
Oh, Is that real?
And so when I got back, Norm and I wrote "Dude a Rubber Duck," a song about hygiene. I, in my quick Googling, could not find anything about Rubber Duck Reggae aside from mentions of this interview and this song. So I don't
weird.
know if Rubber Duck Reggae is a real thing or if this small child tricked Christopher Surf into writing an Ernie reggae song. But regardless, good job.
It's weird to have Kermit singing so close to Ernie singing.
Yeah.
Because you really think about, like, if you're listening to the record of this, you wouldn't necessarily know that they were even supposed to be the different characters.
Yeah, you can't have them talk to each other.
No.
It's much like whenever Bert is like doing a scene and he goes off screen for a minute, I'm like, oh, Fozzie's here. But speaking of our old friend Kermit, next up on March 10th, 1987, we had Kermit's Mystery Box from episode 2307. I will say it, one of my favorite Sesame clips we've ever watched.
Yeah, for sure. This is just like an all-time great. This is classic Jim and Frank. Perfection, basically.
It's Kermit running a game of if you can guess what's in the box, you get to keep what's in the box. Cookie Monster demanding it must be a cookie. And Kermit refuses to tell him, saying, no, you have to guess. You get clues. And Cookie's response is, no cookie, no guessing game from clues. Arrivederci, Froggy. I will say this is one of the more, the closest to Frank kind of Cookie Monster performances we've seen, I think. Like, this feels like that man is just barely covered in a thin veil of Cookie Monster.
Especially at the end when he's like, takes Kermit's arms and he's like, life isn't always just about guessing things correctly.
Yeah.
Kermit.
Sometimes you have to care about your friends.
You have to give him a cookie. Well, we haven't seen Kermit truly freak out at anybody in too long, I feel like.
Yeah, he gets quite upset at Cookie Monster, who is, I will say, absolutely unfazed by Kermit, because after the 3 clues, Cookie can't guess, and Kermit yells, "It's an orange! Obviously, it's an orange!" And Cookie Monster goes, "Oh, me like that 4th clue. I guess it's an orange."
Yeah, I think you saying that is kind of like one of Kermit's big personality traits, is that he is not taken seriously by anyone as any kind of threat or like authority figure
Right,
in
yeah.
any capacity. Like, he can scream as loud as he wants and never get anything that he ever wants.
Yeah, no one in the room is like, oh God, should we go? This is kind of awkward.
We make Kermit mad. It's just like, we make Kermit mad every day.
Oh, no one respects Kermit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a sad realization. But yeah, Kermit refuses to give him a cookie because he guessed wrong. So Cookie gives him the speech, and Kermit ends up giving him one measly cookie.
Measly cookie? What, are you kidding me?
I mean, Cookie says, speech like that deserve at least 5 cookies.
I also love that you never actually see the orange at the end. That to me, for some reason, feels important. Like,
It's very weird.
yeah, it's meaningless that there's an orange in there.
Yeah.
But it was really good. That's one of the better things I feel like we've watched in a long time. The kind of thing they used to do all the time. And not that what they're doing now is bad, but just good.
And maybe there's, again, with Sesame Street, we're missing 100 things a season that we don't see. So I'm sure there's some good stuff like this out there, but, getting Jim and Frank together for something like this is always going to be the best.
Yeah, and that they can still do what they've been doing since like the 60s is just, well, that's great.
Then on March 13th, 1987, we get Put Down the Ducky.
Another famous
episode 2310.
One. People love this song, right?
Yes, they do. Mostly, I think, because it has a music video that comes out later that we will end up watching, where a bunch of celebrities record their own verses of it. Yeah, right. Which I believe some of that, if not all of it, was actually filmed during this season, but it doesn't come out for a couple years.
Okay.
Because I think John Candy is in it dressed as Yosh Mengi.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But we get Hoots the Owl in maybe a recording studio. It's kind of unclear where he is, but he seems to be hanging out with friends.
Big room with lots of layers.
Yeah. It kind of looks like the new Sesame Street Broadway shows stage looks, where it's just like, here's these random boxes we're going to perform in. But he introduces Ernie to his pals, and Ernie's here because he can't play the saxophone without hearing a horrible squeaking noise, because he refuses to let go of his rubber ducky. So when he, clacks away on the saxophone keys, he's also clacking away on the side of a rubber ducky.
Fun gimmick, but I don't think of Ernie as somebody who's obsessed with his rubber duck in any capacity outside of the bathtub. Like, he wouldn't take a bath without rubber ducky, but he's not inseparable from Rubber Ducky otherwise.
That was my same takeaway, is that we've never seen
Good.
Ernie
We're adult
with
men.
his rubber duck as far as
Yeah.
we understand this show and the
Put
logic behind it,
Put the
Sam.
work in, writers. Come on.
Yeah.
You expect me to believe Ernie's obsessed with this Rubber Ducky? I mean,
Lay the groundwork, writers.
I can name you at least 20 times I've seen him without his Rubber Ducky.
Where's the motivation in this script? I don't see it. Well, during this, Hoot calls Ernie a stubborn cluck.
I knew you were going to say that because you've brought this up
Yeah.
multiple times. And I
Yeah.
looked into this a little bit.
So did I. What'd you
Okay.
find?
Well, that the phrase cluck predates, maybe not necessarily predates fuck, but is not necessarily related to it.
Yes, but stubborn cluck is not a part of this equation, by the way.
Yeah.
Dumb cluck, we have talked about a couple times
Yes,
because Miss
right.
Piggy has called Gonzo it a couple times on Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
And we at the time were just like, is she just saying dumb fuck, but in a baby way? Turns out dumb cluck dates back to the 20s. But there is apparently some debate over which came first in English slang.
Yeah.
Dumb fuck or dumb cluck. So either like dumb cluck came first and people made that vulgar by starting to say dumb fuck.
Dumb fuck. Yeah.
Or dumb fuck came first and they wanted to make
babies
it
have to say this somehow. How are babies ever
Yeah.
going to say this?
Yeah. So no one really apparently agrees on which one came first, but it has been said for many years without the implication that it's a swear.
Yeah, but it does feel like one of those things where it's like, you know what you're doing. Like, especially in
you're getting away with
1986, it's like
You don't have to say dumb cluck.
Yeah. But this song's just fine to me. I like Do the Rubber Ducky better, I think.
Yeah. I think part of it is that I like Ernie better than I like Hoots. So
Yeah.
Ernie singing is more fun than Hoots singing.
Yeah. Hoots has not captured me yet. I'm not sure what to make of him.
But Hoots convinces Ernie to get rid of the ducky by just telling him, hey, you can pick it up after you're done playing the saxophone.
And
so
dude
Ernie
can
tosses
really
the rubber
wail
duck.
and he can really wail on the saxophone.
Another surprising musical talent.
Yeah. I think we have said before that that Bert and Ernie probably went to Juilliard or something. So maybe not that shocking.
That sounds like something we'd say.
Yeah. That
with
they're
no
just,
evidence whatsoever.
Loser artists, yeah, they didn't quite make it.
Well, then from March 23rd, 1987, we have Numberella, a excruciatingly long sketch from episode 2316. And as Sam said in his summary, it's extremely boring, but I will add, there's one non-boring thing about it.
What is it?
The Count's super cool outfit.
Oh yeah, the Count has like a mohawk, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks like a 80s punk in like a 80s high school movie.
And he kind of turns her into like an 80s punk in a 80s high school movie too when he puts her magic clothes on. I wonder why that is though. I mean, I guess that was just the cool style at the time, but
yeah. But yeah, Gordon is boring some kids to death with this story of Numberella.
they
The
look
town-
bored too. Like
Yeah.
they're just like, and then you think about how they filmed it where it cuts back to him a bunch of times. And I wonder if they like bothered to write the story so that the kids would be like, oh, that was a full story. Or if it was just like, and then she did this. And then it skips like
Yeah.
half the story. And then now it's time for the ball.
Well, and they probably had to record that a couple times too. So the kids are hearing him talk about 20 Town. And these people who love numbers so much, they put numbers on their clothes, which isn't a premise.
No. And I like
That's nothing.
it's fun when they do these street scenes too, and Gordon's like talking, and then the kid is trying to like, but what about so and so?
No. Just keep listening to me. I'm not going to answer any more questions. It's not in the script.
I know this is unnatural and very strange, but we're trying to do
but
something
yeah.
here.
Apparently, there's a ball happening. Only 20 people get to go to the ball because all the numbers are taken.
Only
You have
20
to wear a
people live in
number
the
on your
whole friggin'
outfit.
town or something. I don't really know.
It's unclear. I'm assuming Cinderella is not the only person. Like, she's not the 21st person in the town. I don't assume, but who knows? But there are no numbers left for her. So, as Gordon says, she'll have to stay home and watch the news.
Mm-hmm. He thinks the kids are going to get a real kick out of that joke, but they
Yeah.
do not.
Hey, what's the most boring thing a kid can think of? Watching the news.
Those kids are too young to think that that's funny.
But the fairy count father shows up to give her the number 21 that she didn't know existed. And then it plays out exactly like Cinderella, except at the ball, everyone's like, what the hell is 21? And so she has to count all the way up, one digit at a time, to 21 to prove 21 exists.
Yeah. And I think the count has earlier also counted to 21.
Yes, he has. Which I get, this is a baby show. They have to count to teach kids how to count.
It's often a baby show that doesn't feel like a baby show. But when in this particular, and then soon Grover will count to 39, which is way higher than 21, but much less boring when he does it.
Well, at the end of the party, the prince is saying goodbye to everyone and says to one of the guests, who I think is wearing number 8, "Goodbye, Julius Caesar."
Yeah.
And Numberella says, "Oh, was that Julius Caesar?"
Julius Caesar? They're just trying to have some fun. They know this is a flop.
I think that's exactly what happened. The puppeteers are like, I guess this is kind of funny. I'll add this in. And the count just shows up to confirm that, yes, there are many numbers bigger than 21.
And then, and even the puppets at the end of this are like, all right, bud, we get it. Get out of here. It's interesting that everybody leaves the party except Numberella, though. They're going to have sex. And that's why they need the count to go away.
This is their first date. They could just be kissing, smooching.
They're all discoed up, though.
Wow, there's a lot of assumptions happening from you on this.
It's a sexy party. There's black, like, streamers in the background.
It's Studio 54, but they don't know that number, so it's just Studio 4.
Studio 21. It's Studio 4. It's Studio 5, 4. And
we can't put those together. That number doesn't exist.
And everybody's kind of mad maxed up. This is a sexy party.
Well, moving on from the sexy party as quickly as possible, we get to On My Pond from April 8th, 1987, from episode 23-28. One of the most direct environmental things we've ever seen from Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Kermit just singing about a bunch of shitty people who keep throwing their trash into the pond he's living in.
All right. We saw this kind of stuff on the Muppet Show pretty frequently. Like, I can think of a few instances of we paved paradise and put up a parking lot type situations.
Yeah. No, this would be right at home on the Muppet Show.
Mm-hmm.
But they show a kid just throwing a pop can into the pond.
That kid fucking sucks. Yeah.
They show a boat just shooting out smog, and then some ruffians with a loud radio, which I guess is like sound pollution.
And a guy just fully throw an entire bag of garbage into the pond, which I guess people do. I guess that's a thing.
Yeah. That's when Kermit's like, this will take years to clean up.
Yeah. And then everybody's like, oh, sorry. We made Kermit mad. These people respect Kermit.
Yes, that's true. Maybe they were caught off guard by a talking frog.
They're like, he's actually not. He's not yelling. Kermit demands more respect when he is being measured. It's when he loses his cool that people are like, this is hilarious.
That's a lesson for you kids. Yeah. If you want to command attention, you should whisper instead of yell.
Yes, or sing a song.
Yeah, overall, I think that one's a great one. I think it's a nice message for them to include in Sesame Street. And also, I think, illustrated very, very well through the nastiness of these characters who are just throwing their shit in the pond.
It's like that episode of Mad Men where they're having a nice picnic and then they just like throw all their trash into the bushes or whatever.
I mean, there's still like, I don't know, I feel like you still hear stories of like people on boats in like at lake parties just like dumping trash off of their boats as they're scooting around. And
it's like water, nature's toilet.
Well, then we kick off our American Revolution miniseries. This is a thing we did during season 18, introduced as The American Revolution, a miniseries starring all your friends from Sesame Street, telling the story of how the United States of America was born, more or less. First one is The National Bird from April 14th, 1987, from episode 2332. And yeah, pretty straightforward, but still funny history lessons.
Yeah, I don't know how much you're actually learning from.
You learn
the fact that they have the turkey as an example, but then they also have joke birds, but they don't actually say the turkey thing's real.
But it wasn't though, Sam.
It wasn't.
No,
he didn't actually suggest the turkey.
He did not. So this is based on a myth. Benjamin Franklin wrote a letter criticizing the original eagle design. He wrote a letter to his daughter saying that it looked more like a turkey.
Okay.
And then said, which this is a little bit like, basically he didn't argue for the turkey to be the national bird, but he did shit on the bald eagle a little bit. He said that the bald eagle is a bird of bad moral character and that the turkey is a much more respectable bird.
I think that that's absolutely true. I've always thought the turkey would be a great choice. They're kind of silly
Yeah.
looking, but bald eagles
But
are
he didn't say this.
disgusting.
He didn't say this in front of like, Congress
Right.
or
He
something like
didn't
that. He was just
stand
like writing to
before.
his daughter, being like,
Oh,
"Hey,
okay.
you know what, daughter? Bald eagles suck. Turkeys are great." It's like,
Well,
"Yeah, Dad, shut up. This
see,
isn't Facebook."
I just learned more from you than I did from the Sesame Street.
No, that's fair.
But this is
I do
interesting
like.
too, because Oscar is there in this too, and this is even more like a whoa. Carol got to be on set with all the
Mm,
guys.
yeah, we get Benjamin Franklin played by Telly, who suggests the turkey. Thomas Jefferson played by Bert suggests a pigeon, obviously. Oscar, who's seems to be playing no one in particular.
I
They
don't
don't
think
name
they ever
him.
say, yeah.
Suggests a cockatoo. And then John Adams, played by Ernie, suggests the bald eagle.
Luckily, Elmo is also there. Doesn't suggest anyone so that they can actually win. Somebody can win the vote.
Right, because everyone votes for their own bird. Elmo didn't get to suggest a bird, so he sides with Ernie, and that's how they vote for the bald eagle.
Yeah, it's also interesting to see Harry pop up because we haven't seen Harry. It feels like, and maybe it's just because of the clips, but Harry hasn't been around forever.
Harry feels a bit like a throwback Muppet at this point.
And Telly has stepped into the Harry kind of shaped hole in our lives.
I wonder if they just had, the Count and other Jerry Nelson characters took off in popularity, and they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we don't really need Harry. We got enough of these guys.
Yeah. I guess the Count wouldn't have made too much sense in colonial times.
I mean,
maybe.
As much as Ernie as John Adams makes sense.
Yeah, the Count's got his own hang-ups, so he can't just be playing any character.
I have known the world long before America existed.
And
your country is a child to me.
Yeah, I'll know it long after America's gone, too.
Yes. Well, at the end, Big Bird runs in, insulted that he was not chosen as America's bird.
Yeah, that was fun. That kind of this felt like a skit that they would like. There was that Centennial skit. You remember that where like the Muppets were writing the Constitution or something like that for that special about the
Oh
bicentennial?
yeah.
Yeah, that ending
Liberty
part felt
something with Martin Sheen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but this is fun. I like these little run of skits.
Yeah, it's slightly interrupted. We have their Monster Piece Theater one next, which is the
Mhm.
39 Stairs from April 28th, 1987. And yeah, Cookie Monster introduces the Monster Piece Theater. It's 39 Stairs, made by a guy named Alfred.
Have you ever seen this movie?
I haven't, actually.
I watched it a long time ago. It's very old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a 30s, I think.
Something
it's
like that, yeah.
An early Hitchcock.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually called 39 Steps, which refers to the name of an organization of spies in the movie.
Right.
But yeah, we get black and white noir Grover climbing a set of stairs and counting them as he climbs.
So sure he'll get a surprise at the top. But he's not going to.
At first, he's like, I really hope there's something fun at the top. And the more exasperated he gets, he's like, there better be something exciting at the top of these stairs. But he reaches the top, and there's just a brick wall.
Yeah, when he sees a brick wall, he's like, just a brick wall? Are you out of your mind?
And then he decides, I will not walk back down all these stairs. And so he slides all the way down the railing and lands in the room with Cookie Monster.
Yeah. Very fun.
And then Frank gets to talk to himself.
Yeah.
As Cookie is looking down at the floor where Grover is supposed to be off screen. And presumably, Frank is just switching his voices while puppeteering Cookie Monster, since we don't see Grover.
Yeah. Just a Frank showcase.
Which I'm always on board with.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Frank can do no wrong at this point.
Basically, yeah. He's just hilarious.
Well, and the fact that he's like doing this at the same time as he's like off directing Little Shop of Horrors, like such a complex man.
Yeah.
Then we wrap up the season 18 with 3 more American Revolution stories. The first of which is the Declaration of Independence from episode 2345 on May 1st. Don Music is playing Thomas Jefferson this time, writing the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, we had another Thomas Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
Bert was Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah. It's interesting to me that they didn't keep up the same cast. But as he explains, since this is 1776, I need a quill because that's what we write with.
I think I like these because they have like a fractured fairy tales, kind of like Rocky and Bullwinkle feel to them. Or what's Mr. Peabody and Sherman? That's what it is.
Yeah. But he immediately breaks the tip of his quill. But thankfully, Mr. Grover shows up to ask how it's going. I love that he's just Mr. Grover.
He's just Grover. Yeah. He's Grover a few times in these too.
Yeah, which was also the thing of like, okay, you didn't use Grover in all 3 of these, just in 2 of them. So maybe that was like a later idea
Yeah.
for these bits. I also I fully expected that, this is going to be Salesman Grover, but just in the
Selling a quill.
1700s.
He's just trying to be helpful in this, so he's not trying to make any money.
Nope. He just goes to go get a quill. By the way, he is wearing a delightful wig pulled back into a ponytail, which was the style of the day.
That's right, Matt.
He's just playing himself, but I guess in the 1700s. He brings back a drill instead of a quill.
Yeah. Maybe like the overall like idea of this skit wasn't as strong as the first one.
It made me laugh, so I say it's a good one.
Yeah.
Followed by a chicken named Phil.
So close.
I do like there's a moment where he introduces. He's like, Phil, Tom, Phil.
Yeah.
And he's like, get that chicken out of here. I don't need a chicken. And so he takes him out. But little did he know, Phil would leave behind a feather.
He's got quills
that
all
Thomas
over
Jefferson
him.
can use as a quill. And then Phil and Grover come back and want to critique the Declaration of Independence a little bit.
This was the best part when he's like, I was thinking I started with once upon a time. And then Grover says, may I suggest when in the course of human events.
Even more important, Phil is the one who clucks.
Oh,
and
Phil
Grover
suggests
says,
it.
Phil suggests when in the
Beautiful.
course of human events.
Then that's how America was founded. See, these kids are
chicken.
learning so much.
Well, speaking of learning, we move on to May 6, 1987, to learn about the Boston Tea Party. We actually do learn a bit for the kids in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kermit is at Boston Harbor in Boston, 1773. And they explain that they are doing this because the king is taxing their teas.
Why is Kermit so excited to be here? Do you know? At the beginning, he's like, we are here. Is that like something from the Boston Tea Party, or?
I don't think there was the motto of we are here.
Yeah.
I think this is honestly, it feels like it's like a time traveling Kermit a little bit. Like he knows what the Boston Tea Party is. He's read about it in books, everything like.
Okay.
So I think he's excited to be at a historical event.
And he's instead of like some dumb fairy tale where he knows some asshole is
gonna
make
here's
his life tough.
the 3 pigs. I guess I wonder what's gonna happen when the wolf shows up.
Oh, something I forgot to mention was that Bert at one point says he wants to make America great.
He does, and it's a little off-putting because it came so close that I almost clipped that because it's just really off-putting just to hear those words put together from a Muppet's mouth. So these fools start throwing everything they have that starts with the letter T into the bay with ties, turnips, tamales, and toboggans. And Kermit's trying to get them to stop because he says, this is not what happened at the Boston Tea Party.
Hearing him say that is kind of scary. It's like, Kermit, you've meddled in God's domain. You shouldn't have come back here.
Yeah, if you're going to go back in time, you can't affect the actions.
No, you can't start interviewing people.
If anything, maybe he's responsible.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
he
knows he's made a big mistake. He's looking at a picture of himself. He's disappearing. He's got to fix this fast.
So he explains to the kids watching and the characters in the bit that the taxes were on the tea, like that you drink, not the letter T, and tells them that they should be throwing the beverage into the bay.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all come back with individual tea bags.
Yeah, this part of the joke fell a little flat to me because Kermit said, like, it's not supposed to be tea bags. But I feel like kids would only know about tea bags. Like, kids aren't going to be like,
yeah,
it obviously should be loose leaf tea in crates.
Yeah, I demand loose leaf.
Yeah. It is.
I think it's purely because of what you just said of like kids know tea bags more than loose leaf. And so they had to make it clear to kids that this was tea, but also felt the need to comment on this isn't exactly how it happened.
Well, yeah, when previously they've implied that a chicken came up with the first lines of the Declaration of Independence and that the national bird was almost a cockatoo.
Then we get our last thing from season 18 that we watched from May 14th, 1987. Crossing the Delaware from episode 2354. George Washington does a roll call, and Grover is late because he had to stop and get balloons and streamers and noisemakers to surprise the British.
The surprise, the Surprise, the British phrasing is doing a lot of work in this skit.
Yeah, if we're rewriting history in any of these, this one really is rewriting history quite a bit. Because George Washington's pitch is that they are going to surprise the British so much that they'll be too surprised to put up a fight.
Hmm.
And
then what will happen?
That's it. They'll walk away and say, "You got us."
Really scared us. We're going back to England.
Yeah. But George Washington does explain to Grover, the king keeps telling us what we can and cannot do without asking our opinion. And Grover says, well, that's not very nice. And so, yes, they do, apparently pull it off. They cross the Delaware and surprise the soldiers.
They leave Grover, which is a good thing because Grover would have had to take human lives if he had gone with them.
Yeah, spoiler alert, people definitely got killed at the Battle of Trenton.
Yeah. In Sesame Street universe, the Revolutionary War was a bloodless affair. It was all just surprising, scaring each other.
Tea in the Bay. Boo! Ah, you win.
Yep. How uncouth. These uncouth Americans.
And while that normally would wrap up where we would talk about a season of Sesame Street, we got a special little glimpse this time into what happens once the season is over.
Yeah. Where did this come from? How did people find this? A rap party video.
I mean, great question. Clearly VHS, terrible audio quality on this. Clearly more for the people in the room, but they tape it, I guess, for people maybe who couldn't be there. Yeah, this is just straight up a recording of the season 18 rap party hosted by cameraman Frank Biondo.
Oh, okay. That's who I assumed it was, but I wasn't sure. And he was there
Frank
forever,
Biondo.
Right? Is that him?
Yeah, Frank Biondo. I think him and Carol Spinney have like the longest tenure on Sesame Street. Frank Biondo was there as the camera one operator on Sesame Street from the very first show through the 52nd season, which was just a few years ago.
And we're on season 18.
Yes, currently.
So he wasn't even halfway through his tenure.
No. So yeah, Frank Biondo, be on Sesame Street pretty much forever.
Wow. Great New York guy too.
Oh yeah, most. Yeah. Big Bird is the first guest. You can hear the noise from Carol as he's putting his microphone on and talking to the people helping him get around the studio. You just hear Big Bird's voice interspersed with normal Carol Spinney voice. He gets up on stage. I'm going to head this off at the pass. This is the most hit and miss thing we've maybe ever watched.
There's some big whiffs in this thing, I tell you.
Huge whiffs that go on for so damn long.
Yeah.
It's fun to see, not fun to watch.
Exactly.
Big Bird jokingly fires everyone and then thanks the cast and crew. He says he's going to read a poem, and you get to see Carol rustling around inside of the Big Bird costume to get the poem ready.
You can hear him opening paper up inside of himself. He's like, pay no attention to that sound.
And then he reads a confusing poem called Courage that he credits to himself about a giant coming to his door and hitting him. And this is a poem from the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Oh, interesting. It made sense to Carol, probably. Or it's like, a lot of this is just like if somebody came to like a complexly thing, they'd be like, this is fucking stupid. But we'd be like, this is the funniest thing ever because it's just all inside jokes and stuff.
The crew does love everything that's happening in this, especially the Richard Hunt and Joe Bear thing.
Oh, yeah, which is almost incomprehensible.
But before that, we get the cameraman can't seem to figure out the zoom and the focus because it seems like maybe John Stone is running the camera.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they're making a big point of being like, if an actor makes a mistake, you just reset. But if a cameraman makes a mistake, they get screamed at. And look how hard it is.
Well, I think Frank also says something about like, oh, yeah, this guy's been yelling at me for 18 years or whatever to how to be better at camera. And look what he's doing. He can't even focus on me.
Yeah, right.
And so I think it's John Stone running the camera for this.
Okay.
He eventually does figure it out when they introduce Joe Bear, an electrician who should be an actor, they say, along with Richard Hunt.
He does act on Sesame Street a couple times.
Yeah, but he is also mostly behind the scenes.
Right.
But yeah, we get him and Richard Hunt putting on a presentation for the people who can't visit Sesame Street but want to see what a regular day on the street is like.
Of course Richard's there. Richard is somehow everywhere at once.
I think from reading his biography, he is a man who the lifeblood of Richard is entertaining people.
Yeah.
And so if he can be in a place where people are going to laugh, he will be there.
Yeah, that's fun. It's very that comes across just the fact that he does ever make all appearances that he is asked to make. It seems like.
Yeah.
But it's nice that they have access to at least one of these guys frequently.
Yeah. The crowd there fucking loves the impressions of the crew. The guy just picks up a donut and they're like, oh my God, it's Irving. Everyone look, it's Irving.
This part is pretty funny. I think this part is charming. I think these two do a good job.
Oh, yeah. There's clearly a lot of jokes we're not getting, but they
Yeah.
do a good job of their show.
Right.
Notably, throughout this, Richard and Frank both say the word Muppeteer multiple times.
Yeah. And that just seems like what they call themselves on set.
Yeah. Even if, Jim didn't like it. Apparently, everyone on Sesame Street used it.
Yeah. I love when he's a child wrangler with the length of rubber hose and a fire extinguisher.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, you're a child wrangler. You must love children. He's like, yeah, stuffed and baked.
That part was funny. Because that must have been a nightmare, honestly.
Well, they also are very clearly referencing one woman because they're like, well, why do you want to be a child wrangler? He's like, I'm hoping to be a producer someday.
Yeah.
And they all are like, hey, we got you.
Or maybe somebody who is a producer now who started out as a child wrangler.
That's what I'm thinking is she used to be a child wrangler.
Yeah. It is really fun to see. Yeah. These specific and just to be like, oh, they're just normal people like us. Just scraping this thing together, making fun of each other.
And then, they sort of wrap it up with a performance of Put Down the Ducky with a small Cookie Monster puppet. Then Frank introduces us to Michael Houston, who was a performer who was credited only in this season of Sesame Street.
Yeah.
She provided uncredited performances the previous year as well. Oh boy.
I don't know what this is.
She has a stand-up routine as a little girl in footy pajamas, just sort of yelling a lot.
Yeah.
And then she performs Shattered by the Rolling Stones at the end.
Oh, that's what that is. I really couldn't tell what she was doing.
I had to Google the words she was saying because I was like, this sounds like something I know, but I'm not entirely sure what it is. But oh boy, you could skip this part if you're going to watch this for any reason. Just fast forward through this part.
I think everybody in the audience was probably also like, what are you doing, Michael?
Yeah, she lost the room. The noise you heard during the Richard and Joe things, you don't hear any of that during her performance.
Yeah. You gotta do, when you're doing a rap party, you gotta do stuff specific to the people that you're talking to. You can't just do your stand.
She's just working out some jokes.
Yeah. It said she was part of a duo called the Babes in the Woods, which I bet was two women who were with some comedy partner she had.
Right.
Doing this little kid thing.
Okay.
Is my guess.
Yeah. It's not good.
No, I don't enjoy it.
But then it's time for Bob McGrath to perform People in Your Neighborhood. But not just any people in your neighborhood. A more gritty Zack Snyder version of People in Your Neighborhood.
Yeah, the nasty reboot.
First, we get a con man who shows up trying to sell Bob a gold watch for $1.
To feed his grandmother's coke habit. Great.
Yeah, he also has a small bag of cocaine in his hand that he's holding. At the end, it turns out to just be a paper watch, because what could you expect for $1?
Yeah.
Next up is a sex worker, which, because it's 1986, they refer to as a hooker.
Yep. And there's puppets for all of these characters.
There is puppets, yes. The workshop built con man puppets, sex worker puppet, and a mugger puppet.
Well, yeah.
She says her job has its ups and downs.
Oh, boy.
And she says that she costs $50 for a good time.
And Bob's like, I couldn't possibly. What about for $20?
Yeah. She calls him the cheapskate and takes off. But they do, if you're wondering, sing the words. A hooker is a person in your neighborhood. In your neighborhood. And wow, this is a thing.
I thought I would be more scandalized by this, but as I was watching it, I was like, oh, they've done stuff. They've done extremely drunk Muppets before, and I know this is different, but I was kind of like, this is actually kind of cute in a weird way too.
I think it's very odd that if this would happen today, they would never film it.
Oh yeah, no.
They would confiscate everyone's phones,
Yeah.
and there would be no public record of this happening. Because can you
Absolutely.
imagine if this leaked from season 54 of Sesame Street?
Yeah, that would
of
be
them
very
doing this
bad.
behind the scenes.
That would be
Sesame
very
Street
bad.
would be done. HBO would drop them.
Yeah.
Like, this would
Totally.
not go over well today.
Yeah. I think weirdly enough, the fact that there are puppets makes it more acceptable to me for some reason.
Mm.
Because it seems more, I think what it is, it feels more respectful that they went that extra mile to make the puppets. And they weren't just like, isn't this a stupid show we worked on? But instead they're like, yeah, we like the puppets. We're going to make some puppets to have fun with.
And then, they end it by singing, "We're the people that you meet when you're walking down the street. We're the scumbags that you meet each day."
Yeah, I mean, like, it's pretty judgmental and horrible. But, I mean, there's that side of it.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't feel as sacrilegious to me as I was expecting it to.
It's got big Avenue Q vibes.
Sure, that's true. Maybe we live in an era where I'm more used to nasty puppets. But
But yeah, we learned that this was apparently Frank Biondo's idea.
he's been trying to do it for years, I think he says.
Yeah. He's like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if the people in the neighborhood were all these people? And they're like, I don't think so, Frank. He's like, we'll see.
Yeah. He's like, eventually I just made somebody write it for me.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know if I should say, but Nancy wrote that one. Nancy Sands. He also interestingly mentions that he changed a few words from her version, and I am fascinated by what his contributions were.
Yeah, this guy seems like a real character.
And then he introduces Ellen Green from Little Shop of Horrors, who is here to sing a song from Carnival, and also Suddenly Telly, along with our good friend Telly.
Yeah. And this is something that could have just been on the show on like Sesame Street almost, in that it's kind of boring. I guess if you're there and you're like, whoa, she's on Broadway and she's in a new movie that our friend Frank made, you're probably impressed. But this part was
the
just
first
like,
song.
okay.
The first song feels like one of those of like, this doesn't feel right for the rap party.
Yeah.
Whereas the song with Telly feels perfect for a rap party.
Right. And because she's talking about how she's going to miss everybody so much. In a way that confused me, like, did she work on the show? But she didn't. She just was.
He says something along the lines of like, she comes around from time to time. So
Right.
I'm guessing she's been on the show, which I think at this point she had been on at least once or twice as a guest.
Right.
But maybe she's just friends with them and comes to hang out. Notably, we will also we'll watch Little Shop of Horrors in about a month, Sam.
I'm excited to watch that. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Now it's Oscar's turn. He shows up, and it's not great.
He doesn't bring the heat. He doesn't bring the heat like you normally would expect. Especially
feels
at
like
a
he didn't
grown-up
plan
event
anything.
like this. At a grown-up event, you should be like, Oscar can finally say fuck now.
Yeah. Basically, he comes out and does the typical, like, I can't stand you. I hope you never come back.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm actually sweeter than you see on TV. The script makes me mean. Actually, no, I hate all of you. I don't know what I'm talking about. And then he wraps it up with saying, if you do not want to be a murderer, do not spend time with people who should be killed.
Great. I think it would have been fun maybe if, like, Oscar and Frank had co-hosted it or something. Like, if Oscar had always been, or like if he had been Statler and Waldorfing from the side the whole time or something. That could have been cool.
Yeah, that'd be better. But then Frank comes out to hold what we think is a raffle. And apparently CTW provided them with some champagne. They're going to raffle off some bottles. And so when I call out your name, come up. But it turns out it was fixed. Because all the people he calls up had gotten married that year.
That was sweet. I like that.
It was very sweet. And then the last thing, Frank directs us to look at the monitors because it's time to watch Put Down the Ducky. But a special crew performance interspersed with just a bunch of group shots of the crew singing Put Down That Ducky very poorly.
Yeah, whatever. I suppose it's cute if you worked there.
I am pretty sure Jim is there.
In the audience?
In one of the group shots, looking the most animated we've ever seen Jim.
Whoa. Do you have a time?
There's a shot where you see Richard and Jerry Nelson and a bunch of the other Muppeteers performing. And there's a guy who, if it's not Jim, I need to know who it is because it could be Jim's stunt double, but the quality on this is so bad. I couldn't say 100%. And if he wasn't moving in the way he's moving, I would say, obviously, that's Jim Henson. But he's dancing like a fool.
What time? Do you know?
9:10 into this clip. I think there's a man who is Jim Henson on the left-hand side.
Oh, that's so weird because it does not look like him exactly.
Right? It
But-
looks like Jim in freeze frame. But then also, he's moving
I don't know.
so much in an animated way.
I don't think that's him.
Yeah. I could easily be told that is not Jim Henson, and I would 100% believe you. But I also think it looks enough like Jim Henson that I
Maybe
want to
it
believe.
is. He has exactly the same hair swoop as Jim does at the
The hair swoop and the
end.
beard, and like there's a point where his like facial features come a little bit more into the light, and it looks like Jim Henson, but he's wearing like this big slouchy like hooded coat.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a rich guy.
And he's
in
doing
the
these like
clothes.
weird hand motions that I've never seen Jim Henson do. So either he was just in a weird fun mood that day, or that's not Jim.
What the heck? That's so weird. It does look like his stunt double. Like if Jim had to fall off a horse, that would be the guy falling off.
Get that guy.
Yeah.
But this clip does end with Ernie saying, "I would have put down the ducky, but I'm not in control here." And it pans down to show Jim underneath Ernie, who says, "Where's Frank Oz when you need him?"
What's that mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they need Frank to put down the ducky with the other hand or
I don't
something.
know. Or to tell them to stop being so stupid.
Yeah. But that does it for the 3 hours of Sesame Street things we watched, Sam. Hoo boy, that was a lot.
We didn't talk about it for as long as it lasted, though, which is always a good sign, right?
Thank goodness, because many times we talk about things for way longer than they actually
twice
are.
as long as they are, yeah. I still like Sesame Street, though. I feel like there was a season a couple seasons ago, maybe, where I was like, bah, I don't like this anymore. But this was a pretty good batch, I thought.
Well, I'll take all the credit for picking out the best clips.
Good job, Matt.
I'll try to keep it up next time when we get to season 19 in 1987, which would be the first Sesame Street that we possibly could have watched as babies. Well, Sam, before we get out of here, I gotta ask, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
I've been playing this game called Balatro. Have you heard of this game?
I have heard of this.
There's no way to describe it aside from it's just like a card game.
Right. It's like a thing that you can't describe without spoiling it, right? Like there are twists and turns, right?
Oh gosh, if there are, I haven't gotten to them yet.
Oh, maybe it is just normal cards. Maybe I'm confusing it with something else. But I thought this was something where like more things happened the longer you played.
It does feel like that is the case, but I have not read anything about it except people think it's really fun. I don't know that something more will happen, but it has a mysterious air to it where I'm like, there's something here different. But it really is just a card game, basically, like a kind of a puzzle card game. And it's on Switch and everything. But it's kind of a roguelike where you do these different runs of like just trying to get as high as you can. And then you unlock different powers and stuff like that. But it's just fun. It's not like there's nothing crazy about it or anything like that. It's just like a fun, satisfying little card game that you can play, on the toilet or whatever you need to do. It kind of reminds me of that Vampire Hunter game. What's that called?
Right. Vampire Hunter.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, that game. Where, it's just like a throwback, kind of straightforward throwback game. And then I don't even know if I don't know when I talked about this, if I talked about it in the Jim Henson episode or how messed up time is going to be.
Time is an illusion at the moment, guys. We're way out of whack in recording.
I went and saw Furiosa again, which I talked about on this show.
I think you did, because I think you said you didn't like it.
And I liked it the second time. The first time going in, you're like, this is going to blow my mind. And then it doesn't. And then the second time, you're like, this is going to be that movie I already saw. And then you're like, actually, this is a lot better than I thought it was. It's just not as good as Fury Road. But it's still quite good and fun.
All right.
That was that. How about you?
We watched the old John Cusack movie, Say Anything.
I've never seen that. Is that the one where he holds the thing above his head?
Yep, the boombox.
The boombox? Sure.
Yeah. I watched it a lot in high school. Probably haven't seen it since college. But we were looking for something to watch and just came across that in the old Blu-ray collection. and decided to watch it. And it's funny because like I still enjoy that movie, but like watching it now, I'm just like, man, nothing really happens in this movie. And there's a weird subplot with the dad that takes over most of the movie.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't love that part of it, but it is, I don't know. There's enough good things in the movie to make me still like the movie overall, but it is bizarre how little happens in that movie.
I literally don't know anything about it except the boombox thing.
Yeah.
But is it worth watching or no?
I'd say it's worth watching.
How you feeling about Beetlejuice 2?
I'm excited for it. I like Michael Keaton.
It looked kind of good. The second trailer looks pretty good, I think.
I am wondering how they're going to deal with. It's very interesting to kill off a character in a movie famously known for bringing back dead people.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I guess they'll probably just say he's dead and not worry about it.
But like, why wouldn't you immediately see him in the waiting room of hell or wherever?
Yeah.
This movie's whole concept is somebody dies and they show up in the movie again.
I mean, we know why, but...
Well, we know why he's not going to be in it.
Yeah. Maybe they'll say he got eaten by a sandworm or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, because they definitely won't show him in the movie.
Yeah.
Because then they'd have to pay him. Yeah. And I'm assuming they're going to want to avoid that.
I thought you were going to say how are they going to explain the fact that Gina Davis and what's his name don't live in the attic anymore?
Oh, I mean, time has passed.
I suppose.
Like I'm more all right with the Gina Davis and the Alec Baldwin-ness of it. I feel like it gets more complicated if you're going to try and bring them into it.
Right.
But at least I feel like it doesn't seem like they're mentioning them at all. I'm sure they will mention them offhand.
Right.
But the fact that like the trailers circle around, like they center around the dad died.
Right.
And I'm like, if this was a different circumstance at a different time, a different character,
be the whole movie, basically.
Yes, she was gonna be like, Beetlejuice, bring my dad back.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Or she's just like going along with him to learn and we see more about what's going on down there.
Right. Whereas this feels like they're all gonna go like, all right, he died. Yeah, we're okay with that in this movie. Yeah. We're all just gonna move on, accept that he's dead.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, Beetlejuice? How's it going?
Yeah. At which point it's like, well, why don't you just have him be dead 15, 20 years ago or something? Like why start it with his funeral?
That's a good
where he's definitely going to be in the waiting room and not just he's been dead for long enough that he's lost in the afterlife somewhere. And there's no reason to think it'll be good because Tim Burton hasn't made a good movie for a little while. But yeah, I think I'll definitely go see it at least.
Yeah, no, I like Michael Keaton and Catherine O'Hara too much.
Yeah,
totally to avoid it.
Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, we got to let you know what we'll be watching next time. And next time, we're headed back to the nursery, Sam.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm kind of curious what these little weirdos are going to get up to.
Well, we'll be discussing the rest of November of 1986 with 3 more episodes of Muppet Babies Season 3 titled Treasure Attic, Around the Nursery in 80 Days, and Fine Feathered Enemies.
Okay, wait a minute. So Treasure Attic.
What do you think's going to happen? You want to predict?
Wow, the attic. We've heard about the attic. They've been setting up the attic. Mm-hmm. So I predict they won't go in the attic. Around the world and
Nanny just bringing things down.
Yeah, and they're speculating about what the attic could possibly be like, but none of them will go in the attic. Around the world in 80 days, or around the nursery.
Around the nursery in 80 days.
That'll be like a wacky races kind of. They'll all have their own little vehicles, and they're
I like that idea.
That one will be straightforward. They'll do a good job on that one. Fine Feathered Friends. I would like to say
Fine Feathered Enemies.
Enemies. Oh gosh, enemies. What kind of bird could they hate?
Camilla?
What? I would like to say it was about Camilla, but maybe so it's like a war against, there's like a chicken war of some sort. I'm guessing there's a chicken war of some sort.
All right, the Great Chicken War.
Yeah. I don't know how they could show a war, but they'll find a way.
I feel like they've driven tanks and stuff in Muppet Babies before, so
I think you're right.
When they tried to fight Godzilla that one time.
Yeah, you shouldn't try to fight Godzilla. Are you kidding me?
I also rewatched Godzilla -1 this week.
Oh, how did you still like it?
Oh my God, it's so good, Sam.
I have to check that one out.
I got
again.
Devin to watch it, and she has never seen a Godzilla movie aside from maybe
Oh.
the 1998 Matthew Broderick movie. Like, she just has no interest. And I was like, watch this one. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
And she loved it.
That's great. That's a great first Godzilla movie.
That's what I told her.
Yeah.
She was like, I've never seen Godzilla. Do I need to know anything? And I was like, no.
No,
This is the perfect
absolutely
first
not.
Godzilla movie. So I'm out there to say, if you've never seen a Godzilla movie and you want to just watch an objectively great movie, Godzilla -1 is that.
Definitely. The Godzilla -1 will do a really good job in training you not to think that the human parts of Godzilla movies are worthless too.
Right. Yeah. Watch Godzilla -1, then go back and watch the 1954 Godzilla, which has a similar amount of human stuff. And then you're going to get into the 70s and you're going to get some weird robot fights happening.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, what happened to that other Godzilla guy?
It's still good though. I recently rewatched the old Godzilla, and gosh, some of those people are so cool. Like the doctor guy with the eye patch, he's so fucking cool.
Yeah. Well, after that Godzilla interlude, gotta let you know that the Muppet Babies is not all we'll be watching next time, because we also have a short clip of the Swedish Chef and Jim appearing on a German talk show called Nazovas.
They busted the chef
But-
back out.
Yeah, and maybe Germans just love the Swedish Chef.
The
The problem with this clip is while there is a Jim interview and a Swedish Chef sketch, it's one of those where this is a German show and Jim is being dubbed in real time.
Oh, okay.
And so you'll hear like 3 words of English Jim, and then you'll just hear German. And so we won't really have anything to say about this. We'll probably just sort of skim it. And if there's anything interesting visually, we'll talk about it. But we won't really be able to hear Jim say anything interesting.
We'll have to find a German speaker.
You know what? That's a great idea.
That would probably could do that. Yeah.
All right. That's what, if you're in our Patreon Discord and know German, expect to be asked a favor.
And you will have been asked several weeks ago.
Sam, this could not have come at a better time.
Why?
I just remembered, hot off the presses, I was just about to do our outro and mention that you can email us, and I just remembered we, this week, got an email from Eric in Germany.
Oh, hell yeah.
Who said, hey guys, greetings from Germany. Just wanted to let you know that I recently got into your podcast, which caused my Jim Henson obsession to spark once again. I've now started watching Fraggle Rock for the first time, got into the Dark Crystal prequel series, and because I reached episode 20 of your podcast, I ordered the first season of Muppet Show on DVD because it's not on Disney Plus around here.
Well.
It says, I've always been into anything Muppet related, but never really dived deep into the television stuff, only the movies. Glad your podcast finally gave me a reason to do that. Lots of love. Keep up the great work. Someday you'll reach the present day, but I hope not too soon.
Oh, okay. Well,
Eric, expect an email.
From us.
Thank you for your nice words. What's this say?
That's perfect. Amazing.
Well, before I go email Eric, I do need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all your commitment needs. And while you're listening to this podcast, you can also rate and review it or send us a nice email like Eric did at mail@commitment.com. You can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at CommitmentPod. And you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.